Mhm. Okay, did I close my... Yeah, I did close my door. What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Tonight, it is late, first of all. It's 10 p.m. in the West Coast, and I just came back from my pole dancing class, and low-key, I'm a little tired, but I can't sleep just yet. Everybody's still up. When everybody's up, I'm up, so... So I choose this time to go ahead and binge on some scary TikTok videos, y'all. So if you want to join me, you can. I'm about to eat some of these cuties I got. Oh, Lord, let me bump my mic. Some of these cuties I got, because I ain't ate all day, y'all. I think today all I had was a granola bar and a few little bites of, what is it, some trail mix. Girl, I am hungry. I'm so hungry. So I got me some shrimp and zucchini. Shrimp and zucchini rice. So it's pretty good. And I got me a good glass of milk, because milk does a body good. Cheers to that. And yeah, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and binge on some TikTok videos. If you want to join me, you are more than welcome to. So here we go. Let me go ahead and minimize myself. And yeah, as always, y'all, I hope y'all day has been going well. I hope that, you've been sent some positive energy, you know what I mean? And during these tough times, it's good to have a positive outlet to turn to should you be feeling down. Because we all need it, you know what I mean? We all need it. So I'm about to go ahead and let me bring this over. Hold on 1 second. Oh, Lord. Let me pump that up one more time. What are we doing? And bring her over here. There we go. Bring her over here. There we go. And then if there is anybody in here with me, please let me know if the sound is good, if the video is doing good. If not, and oh my God, why did I do this? If not, please let me know. Let me just pull up my chat real quick. Make sure there are people in here who can guide me, man. Let me know. It's good. Pause this, please. There we go. And other than that, I don't know why that takes so long to pop up. But all right, y'all, let me go ahead and just get this started. Here, I want to start off with this one. This is 1 hour of TikTok ghost stories, the audacity, Stitch, and more. I don't know if we're going to do a whole hour. I'm going to just go by the vibe. If I feel like the stories ain't scary enough, then I'm pretty much going to be flip-flopping, y'all, basically. But we will be definitely binging on TikTok scary stories. We watched them before, y'all, and I thought it was pretty good. So, yeah. So let me go ahead and let me reset this because I need to see this chat. Just go by the vibe. If I feel like the stories ain't scary enough, then I'm pretty much going to be flip-flopping, y'all, basically. But we will be definitely binging on TikTok scary stories. We watched them before, y'all, and I thought it was pretty good. And get this one started. So let me go ahead and... Are you serious? Pause. Why? My bad, y'all. All right, here we go. Let me go ahead and open this up. This is how the brain of a procrastinator put this over there. This is how the brain of a procrastinator functions compared to what? Girl, skip this.
I've literally watched
Wait, pause her. Oh, she's gorgeous. Okay, my chat is not up, y'all. The screen is up, but yet the chat is delayed. I'm not sure why. But bear with me, please. Oh my God. Okay. All right, never thought I'd tell you this story again. Please be like really good ghost stories. Girl, I need to eat this. I'm so hungry. I ain't ate all day. So good. Okay, here we go. What's up, bars? Oh, let me open this up. There we go. Video and sound is okay. Thank you so much. All right, here we go.
Stitches to this video, but this story that I'm about to tell today, even though it happened years ago, still gives me chills, and I feel like it has a lot to do with why I quit my job. So I used to work in long-term care, for those of you that don't know, pretty much a nursing home. I was a certified nursing assistant out of high school. This was my first big girl job, okay? So when I first started, I didn't know a lot about the different types of shifts, but there's pretty much 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. I worked the 7 to 3, which was 7 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. As time went on, I slowly started to transition to 3 to 11 to work around my college courses. But every now and then I would pick up an 11 to 7 shift. It didn't take long before I started working there where people were telling me about this one particular resident that had an issue with people of a certain color coming into his room. I didn't have too much interaction with this resident because, like I said, I only worked 7 to 3, and you didn't have to do a lot for him. Just go in and check on him and make sure he was okay. Bring him his food tray. Every now and then he might ask you for help to go to the bathroom, but that was about it. I had heard that this resident could get kind of nasty sometimes. I also heard that he had dementia, so he was like seeing stuff. And I also remember going in his room a couple times and seeing all of the mirrors in his room covered up. This is gonna come back later. So on my first 11 to 7, we'll call this nurse Patty. Patty pulled me aside and she was like, hey, this is the list of people, pretty much doing a report for when I first, clocked in, starting my shift. She told me who I had, who was total assist, which I had to do everything for, and who I could pretty much, let. So I noticed that this list had this certain patient's number on it, this certain resident's number on it. His room number was on there. But instead of it saying, just limited assistance or whatever, it was like total assist. So I asked, I'm like, I know I have him during the day and I just go in and check on him and make sure he's okay. If he rings a call light, I'll go in. But other than that, that's about it. When did he become a total assist? So she proceeds to tell me that the night before, he got so scared and so frantic and thought something was in his room that he jumped out of his bed and fell on the floor. Oh, no. And did something to his hip. So at this point, currently, he's a total assist, meaning I have to go in, I have to check on him, I have to do everything for him. I said, cool, no problem. I start doing my rounds, I start checking on my people, passing out ice water, changing people, as I normally do. Literally, not even 15 minutes into my shift, his call light is on. I go in, I make sure everything's okay. As soon as I get in, I kid you not, this man is literally in the fetal position. I walk up to him, and I ask him if everything's okay. Obviously, when I walk up to him, I'm very careful, because like I stated before, he did not like people of my color coming into his room. During the day, he would make a big deal out of this. Like, if he could get a nurse or a nursing assistant of a different color, he definitely would. He did not pay that any mind. He literally jumped straight into, they're in here, they're after me, please help me. I'm looking like, who is they? He's like, you don't see that little boy behind you?
Oh, girl, right.
No, I can't say that I do, sir. So it took me literally...
Tell me a ghost story? That sounds completely unbelievable.
What the hell? Why did it skip? Hers was so good. Oh my God. I kept wondering why they kept showing her in the background, y'all. I'm like, what's going on in life? She looked really sad. Hold on, let me see.
But it's entirely true.
Not really a ghost story, but a paranormal one nonetheless. When I was living in Pennsylvania,
the rest of it.
When I was like 15, 16, something like that, I was going to my friend's house, and it was sometime during the winter, and in the snow, I could see tracks, like really big dog tracks. Like, the direction I was going, I lived on top of this like really big hill, and when I got to the bottom and I could cut through the baseball field, and my friend's house was like right on the other side. So as I approached the gate, I saw these really big dog prints, like huge, like it had to be a really big dog. And then as I was like walking, because again they were going the exact same way I was going, which really freaked me out, they started kind of shrinking and changing, and the next thing I know, the dog prints are completely gone, and it's just like a human foot, like someone was walking in their bare feet.
Oh my God.
To this day, I have no idea what the hell was going on. I didn't really tell no one because I figured they would think I was crazy, which I don't know why I cared, because I was the friggin' crazy person in town anyway. But yeah, I have many more stories.
Wait a minute, so are you insinuating that that was maybe a werewolf or something? Oh my God, y'all. Listen, I always think like, I always thought as like a kid, all the stuff that we were exposed to, like ghouls, ghosts, werewolves, you know what I mean, vampires, those stories came from somewhere, y'all. I think they are real, man. I think they are real. I think they are real, man. So the fact that she said her talking about that, where she said she was following some big ass dog footprints, and then they, what's up here? And she was following the tracks of it. And so basically, as she was following it, the prints of this big dog started getting smaller and smaller, morphing into a human foot, and continuing the tracks of a human. I'm like, oh my God, y'all, that's insane. That's creepy as hell. That's creepy as hell. I wouldn't put it past y'all. I wouldn't put it past those that try to hide that from us because they already know, man. Some people can't take that type of news. You know what I mean? You got some people who can't even watch scary movies, y'all. And they be the weakest ones. So, come on now. Just saying. I know it's real. I believe it's real.
Similar to that. So there's mine.
I have one ghost story that's completely true, and it freaks me out because I didn't realize it was a ghost experience or a ghost encounter until years later when it was verified by my family. There's a lot of background information that ties into this, so I'll do my best to explain it. But my parents divorced when I was younger, and when I was 9, around 2005, my dad, my older sister, and I moved into this older house. This is actually a picture of where it took place. This house was built in 1920. It was a very old house, and it was very much a fixer-upper when we moved in. My dad is a very handy man, and he redid almost every single room in this. This happened about 2 or 3 years after we moved into the house, and this is the staircase that goes upstairs to the bedrooms. There was my dad's bedroom, and then my older sister and I, we had connecting rooms and a bathroom. We also had a desktop computer right here. It was facing the wall, so I would be sitting here like this, playing my Neopets and my 101 Dalmatians.
Dean here with Dr. Clark's store.
hell?
Top 3 reasons why you should pick Dr. Clark's Parasite Cleanse. Reason number 1.
Oh
over
my God,
30
girl,
At
skip.
this time, my dad was renovating the upstairs bathroom, and I believe it was summertime. I was sitting at the desktop computer playing my games, and this boy that was about 17 or 19 years old walked behind me and went up the stairs, and I assumed he was going up to the bathroom to help my dad carry something heavy. I really thought nothing of it because my dad was home, so I figured he wouldn't let some random guy in our house. I just keep playing my games. My dad walks in from the kitchen a couple minutes later, and I was like, "Oh, Dad, that kid that's helping you with the upstairs bathroom just walked upstairs." And my dad said, "Oh, okay, thanks." And he goes upstairs. And he doesn't say anything about it. I never think anything of it. So never gets brought up again. We ended up living in the house until after I graduated high school. And a year after I graduated high school, my dad and my stepmom, they got married a couple years later than this happening. They sold the house. We were at their new house, and somehow the topics of ghosts got brought up, maybe joking about how this old house was haunted or something. And I said, "I believe in ghosts. I don't have any personal experiences, but I do believe that there's spirits or ghosts." And my dad and my stepmom were standing there, and they're like, "Oh, you actually do have a ghost experience." I was like, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Oh, you remember when my dad was renovating the upstairs bathroom, and you said that boy went upstairs to help?" And I was like, "Yeah, vaguely. Why?" He said, "I did all of my home renovation projects by myself, and you were not the only person to see him on the staircase."
Oh my God.
So I was like, "What do you mean other people saw him?
Right.
And why wouldn't you say anything?" So it turns out before my dad got married to my stepmom, he had another girlfriend. And when I was at our mom's house, my dad and her were hanging out, and she was upstairs in the bedroom. And my dad wasn't in the room, but she saw the same boy standing in the corner of their bedroom, and she told my dad about it, and my dad was like, "Oh, okay." And years later, when my dad was married to my stepmom and she moved into the house, she also was in the bedroom upstairs, heard a noise, and I think my dad was hunting at our cabin at the time, so she was home alone. She came out from her bedroom onto the landing up here, looked down, and saw an 18-year-old boy staring upstairs. I have goosebumps. It's so creepy.
Oh my God.
And my stepmom is very freaked out by paranormal. She doesn't even watch scary movies because she gets bad night terrors. So she thought, "Oh, maybe I'm dreaming."
Told you.
Because that's right. She said it woke her up from sleep, that noise. My older sister in high school had some kidney issues, and she would wake up at like 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom. So she would come out of our room and use the bathroom. And she heard a noise, and she looked down the stairs and saw him too. And she thought she was dreaming. And we've
Oh,
all
that's creepy.
talked about it now, years later, now that we're not in the house. And I remember him wearing like tan pants and a blue shirt. And that's what my sister remembered seeing, and my stepmom remembered seeing. And the crazy thing is, we never talked to each other about it because they assumed they were dreaming. I assumed my dad let this neighborhood kid in the house. For some backstory, my dad is a very science belief person. He works in a medical lab, and he doesn't really believe in but he even had to look up how to get ghosts out of your house. He told me
Wow.
that he had saged the house after my stepmom had told him about her experience because he remembered my experience, and he's like, okay, there must be a spirit here. So he staged the house, he got it cleansed. My dad has never personally saw him, which is interesting. And this house used to be a parsonage, which is when a church owns a home, and part of the pastor's contract is you get to live in this house for free while you work for the church. So him and his family would live there. My personal theory is that this pastor had a family, and maybe the boy died on the staircase and he just never got to leave that house. So yeah, that is my ghost story that has been verified by other members of my family. Here's a better look at the house.
That alone just looks super creepy, y'all. Just look at it. It's so old school too. That door that leads, what is that, to a closet or possibly the basement? Oh my God. Like the perfect scene for like a scary movie. I don't know if y'all remember watching like The Sixth Sense and that part where, what is that little boy name? He was looking for some balloon or whatever. He had went in a closet and he saw that, or was that upstairs? I don't know. But this looked like the same scene where he went upstairs because, you know, he can see ghosts. He was upstairs. Some teenager said, hey, want to see something cool? Remember that? Oh, my God. I remember that movie because in 6th grade, man, we had it wasn't an assembly, but every Friday or every last Friday or first Friday, we the 6th graders got to watch a movie by vote. And The Sixth Sense was one of them. And I remember that scene, man, where the little boy was upstairs in his room or something like that. And some ghost was like, hey, you want to see something cool? He's like, let me show you my dad's rifle. Then he turned around. He had that big ass hole in his head. Oh my God, I couldn't sleep for weeks, y'all. I was like, we voted on this? I'm sitting there talking to my 6th grade friends. We voted on this? Like, you know? But yeah, dang good times, y'all. Oh, I'm almost 40. But yeah, y'all, it reminds, this picture she's showing right now just reminds me of that scene, man.
I hope that spirit has moved on, and good luck to the people that live there now.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go.
Hey guys, welcome back to another paranormal story time. I stitched this.
Oh yeah, I see. What's up, Flo? Oh shit. How you doing, Flo? How's your day going? You say, I see dead people, Pierre. So y'all remember that movie? Or am I the only one? You say, just got back yesterday. We stayed and went to Championship Parade. What y'all talking about? Oh, the game. Y'all game.
Exact video a year ago now. And I talked about a really scary experience I had with my brother after he had passed away with what we would call a familiar spirit or a mimic, depending on what you believe in. I will say as a side note and a warning, I am a millennial. I don't know how to edit these videos very well. Bear with me. Thank you. I am not even kidding when I say for the last year, almost every day, someone has commented on my videos and asked for an update about if I had any confirmation from my brother, if I have had any closure at all.
Yeah.
I have back-to-back meetings.
Gosh.
I can't find my notes.
Ads.
I haven't had coffee.
Man, I wouldn't want to be you.
What's gone on, things like that. And I'm here to say that I do have an update and I am actually ready to share now. I will say for the past couple months, I haven't been doing story times because I had a really bad mental health episode. And when I started this series, I didn't know some of what I was getting myself into, and I wasn't totally ready to open that door yet. But I can fully and confidently say now that I am ready and I'm willing, and I would be more than happy to go on this journey with you guys. So without further ado, I will tell you the update that some of y'all have been waiting for. I do have a positive ending to this. This whole experience did give me a lot of closure, but I did work with a woman who happened to be a medium, and she had no knowledge of my brother or his passing, but she came up to me one day while we were at work and said, there is a man that is trying to get your attention through me because he knows that I can talk to you and kind of be the buffer between you both so that you can get the message. And I was...
Wait, let me pause here real quick. I don't know if y'all remember her story. She was the one where she was little and she had played with a Ouija board and released this demon out into her world. And so throughout the years after she did not close this portal properly. I was gonna say properly. She did not close the portal, y'all. So she ended up getting like stalked by some spirit, whatever. And the spirit would sit there and mimic her brother who had passed away. So every time like she would have like certain like paranormal episodes, the ghost would sit there and try to mess with her mind, making her think that the ghost or the demon was her brother. So she was confused, like her and her brother had like a cool relationship or whatnot, and there's never been no bad blood between them, but when he passed away, she kept wondering why her brother's spirit, aka the demon, kept like doing bad stuff towards her, like scaring her. She was going through sleep paralysis. She was having like paranormal episodes where the doors would open on their own, like, she would hear the voice of her brother calling her out of nowhere, and he had passed away. So she's giving us an update on how she's doing with that, y'all. So yeah,
willing and ready to accept whatever message it was from whoever it was, and she started describing what his personality was like, the things that he loved, things like that. And the one thing that really stuck out to me about what she had said was he really loved Halloween and wearing masks, and he loved chasing you around the house with those Halloween masks and scaring the crap out of you. And that's exactly what my brother did. He had so much fun doing that. He loved Halloween.
Oh my God. My cousin got arrested, so he used to do that stuff. He used to stay with my granny. I don't know if y'all ever had like moments in y'all family where y'all parents getting their stuff together, so all the siblings and cousins, they stay at their grandma or granny house. Man, my cousin Terrell, oh my God. He used to scare the crap out of us with that damn, what did he have, that Jason mask? Or was it the It Clown? I can't remember, but he used to wait till it'd be like hella late. I'm talking about like maybe almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Everybody done went to sleep. This fool. Now my granny, she wasn't able to get around the house, so we pretty much was doing whatever the hell we wanted to. My granny's room was way in the front of the house. All the other rooms was in the back of the house. So we was just, you can imagine, man, our cousins was inviting girls over. The girls was inviting boys over. It was, anyway, one particular night, man, my cousin, I wouldn't say the It Clown. I just know it was so scary. I used to sleep on this bunk bed at the top, and I always had my back facing the outside. You know what I mean? I sleep with my eyes towards the wall, so I don't want to see nothing. You know what I mean? So one day, y'all, mind you, I think I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and dude, I miss him. Man, we had just went to sleep, whatever. I think we was like all the little ones. All the younger cousins had just got through watching like scary movies, y'all. This was like around Halloween, whatnot. We had snuck candy in the bag. We had roaches galore in that house, y'all. Terrible. Anyway. But anyways, it was time for bed. We in the bed. The lights is all off. Everybody pretty much halfway asleep, including myself. When I tell you, I heard something. Mind you, my back is turned again, like away from my back is towards the outside. I'm facing the wall. Man, when I tell you, I heard some heavy breathing, like, and I knew it was somebody else because my sister, she always would go to sleep before me. So I'm just like, mind you, we had just got through watching the scary video. I'm sitting there sweating bullets under my covers, y'all. I'm sweating bullets under my covers. And I'm up top. So I'm like, damn, man, if I do have to run, I got to hop my ass up at the top of this bunk bed and book it, honey. And Granny can't do nothing for me because she can't walk. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about all that. I'm sitting there hearing all this. And it gets louder and louder. Then I felt a hand touch my shoulder, y'all. Oh my God. I was so scared, y'all. I screamed, I turned around and slapped the dog shit out of my cousin, y'all. He had that damn mask on. Y'all. I about shitted on myself. I cried. I was like, what would you do? Okay, playing around. He used to always do that shit. But anyway, just wanted to throw that in there, y'all, because she was talking about how her brother used to like scaring them with them scary masks, man. Even my older cousins, man. But yeah, memories, y'all. Just memories.
much.
Cherishable
And
memories.
funny enough, now my daughter loves Halloween too. She started telling me that he was presenting himself as a little bit younger and asked to see a picture to verify that that's the person that she was seeing and talking with. And I showed her a picture of him right before he had passed, and she said, no, that's not really what he looks like. And so I pulled up another picture of when he was in high school, and that's how he was appearing to her. So she had said that he kind of hit me upside the head and was like, why did you do that? Like certain things in my life. And I'm like, I'm just learning. I'm just a girl, you know? But then he had also told her to tell me that he had met my daughter before she had come to me. And have you ever
come on.
yourself?
What?
Oh, that's so crazy.
Oh, I don't want to do a background check on
Into
me,
this
girl.
world,
What?
and I
In the
had
state of Georgia,
begun
I wouldn't
crying
like
at
to.
that point because all I had wanted was for my brother to meet my daughter and to know her. And so when I knew that he had met her before she came here and said how much he loved her and she was amazing and she'd grow up to be an amazing woman, and that she would be a positive light in this world, I actually I still like get teary-eyed over it now. I'm sure you can kind of hear it in my voice, but I was just so amazed that he was coming to me and telling me that. And he had also said that he was looking over us and he knew I was buying a house, which I wasn't really telling many people at the time that I was looking for a house to buy either. So where I'm sitting right now is a house that I bought, and he had said that after I move in, watch for lights to go off, and that will be my confirmation that he's with us. So a couple weeks had passed. I kind of kept that in the back of my mind, like he's gonna show somehow that he's here when he's ready to do so. And one day, my daughter was super young, couple months old. She was playing in her little playpen area with all of her toys. And a lot of those toys were, you had to touch them in order to activate them and it to make noise, things like that. We walked across the house and I had started hearing all these toys go off in the kitchen. And those are the ones that were touch activated. I had a really calm feeling about it. I'd kind of figured that it might be him, and I just felt really good about the situation. And the next day, same woman came up to me and said, did you get the confirmation?
Wow.
He said that he wants you to know that what you saw yesterday was him. And I said, yes, I got it.
Wow.
And so she's like, he wants me to remind you again that he's watching over you and your daughter, and he really loves her, and he really loves you too. And not to feel bad about not being able to hug him before he passed away. So something to note is that something I've always beat myself up about is when I last saw my brother, I didn't get out of the car to hug him. And I always regretted that, even though in the moment I was like a dumb teenager and I was just like, ugh, I'm not getting out of the car, you know? And he had told me he loved me and he couldn't wait to see me again. And then a couple weeks later, he was gone. And
Wow.
I'd always regretted that. And he told me not to, and that it's okay. And it made me feel a little bit better. So to me, this gave me a lot of closure. It made me feel better about the situation, and it allowed me to kind of move forward with my life and know that he was present with us and, you know, with the rest of my family, stuff like that, wherever they are. And I really hope you guys enjoy this update. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching all the way through, and I will see you in the next paranormal update. Bye.
That's really cool that that medium was able to relay the messages from her brother to her. You know what I mean? Giving her a sense of like closure, because that, man, some people who don't even believe that stuff, it's hard for them to move past like the death of a loved one. You know what I mean? That's heavy. You know what I mean? Some people don't know how to cope. Some people can't move on. And I just found out that you can die from a broken heart. You can die from a broken heart if you're not able to manage your grieving. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man, so the fact that she was able to get the message from her brother through the medium, you know, and in spite of her not being able to hug her brother before he passed on, yeah, that's really good. So this was a good one, y'all.
Tell me a ghost story that
Here
sounds
we go with this
completely
girl.
unbelievable, but it's
She looked like
entirely
a...
I've been wanting to
Let
share
me
this
leave her
story on
alone.
the internet for so
Leave her alone,
long,
'cause
and I
I can't
finally
tell.
did recently on Reddit and YouTube, and I thought I would on here too. So in 2019, I was going to the hospital a lot for a family member that was there, and while we were there, a lot of really weird things happened, but this is definitely the weirdest, and it still haunts me to this day. So to get where we needed to go to in the hospital, we had to walk down this very long hallway, and at the end of the hallway there was an archway, like a doorway with no doors, and you had to walk in front of that archway to go left, and that's the way we always went. We always dreaded walking down there just because it was so creepy. Think like back rooms, and there was never really a lot of people with us, and that just like added to the creep factor. So one day we were walking down the hallway like normal, and we see a man standing at the end of the hallway where the archway was, and his feet and body were facing the wall, but his head was turned perfectly down the hallway towards us.
Oh my
We were
God.
very spooked, especially because we had to walk kind of like in front of him and to the left to go where we needed to go. It was just very spooky. I'm gonna try and give...
Wait a minute, hold on. Y'all wasn't screaming. Y'all wasn't like, girl, I'm not going over there. Y'all had to walk down towards the hallway towards him as his head is broken face towards y'all. I'm not doing it. Are you kidding me? Oh, baby, I wouldn't be the same. I would not be the same at all, y'all. What you said was a job or a school? Girl, I'm good. I'm
a little
so
visual
good.
on what it looked like. But this was the wall. His feet and his body were facing the wall, and his head was turned perfectly down the hallway towards us. It seemed very robotic and very unnatural, and we ended up just walking past him, even though we were very uncomfortable. And we were thinking there must have been a logical explanation. He must have been standing at an elevator or looking at something. So later we went back, and there was nothing. He was just standing at a wall and staring at us. I don't remember him blinking. I really wish I would have looked to see if he was actually like standing on the ground and not like floating there. But I remember his eyes looking very like blue or like glow, like not glowing, but like his eyes were very prominent to me, and I don't remember him blinking. Again, he was like down the hallway, but yeah. I remember that he looked about late 20s, early 30s maybe, and he was dressed pretty nicely. Not like suit and tie or anything, but he definitely was not a doctor. He just looked very out of place and very unnatural. And his movement, like just the way he was standing was so unnatural. But yeah, it's been almost 6 years. Me and my mom still talk about this a lot just because it is like engraved in our heads forever. And I still see him standing there quite frequently. So if anybody has experienced anything similar or has an explanation, let me know. I want to start doing more of my like own personal paranormal stories and stuff. So if you're interested, let me know.
Okay, I have a ghost
She was
story to tell
alright.
you. I'm in a new hospital and I was walking around and it's empty and it's kind of creepy, and I heard some noises and I started thinking about all the different like ghost stories that I have from years of working in ICU. But the creepiest story that I have, sorry about that noise, it's loud but I can't turn it off. The creepiest story that
She cannot keep still. Girl, is it cold in there?
I have. So I worked in a hospital that the unit that I worked on had never been anything but a cardiovascular ICU, or cardiothoracic. It was hearts and lungs, and heart transplants, total artificial heart, lung transplants, anything cardiac related. So on this floor, there was a patient that we had one time. There was a particular room.
Did you see that mixing 1 spoon of salt in a glass with 4 ice cubes and waiting 5 minutes before drinking it can actually mimic the effects of...
that kind of just kind of gave you the heebie-jeebies when you walk past it. And we had a patient in that room that he was not a nice human. He was somebody that I had actually known like outside of the hospital, so I never took care of him because it was a conflict of interest. But one night he was confused, so he was just saying kind of mean, hateful things. But one of the things that he kept saying is he kept using a racial slur, the N-word, and he kept saying, "Get that little racial slur out of here. He's playing in here. Get him out of here. I don't want that little racial slur in my room." And everybody, like, this man, I didn't like him outside of, the hospital and as a patient, and was confused, and it was not good. But anyway, he ended up leaving that room, got better, left. And then when you're in the hospital, you can get confused, and it's very normal for you to hallucinate. You have medications on board, like, that's just kind of a normal thing. It just kind of, sometimes your true colors show up whenever you are on medications. I've had women punch me.
What?
That, their family members say, like, "Oh, they're so sweet and kind," but then they're gone.
See, hey, listen, I think she was like a nurse or something like that. I be hearing stories about that, how they be, with the types of patients that they be dealing with. I'm like, nah, I'm cool. There's every dime that they get as traveling nurse, in-home care nurse, all them nurses, they deserve every damn dime. She's just sat there and said she dealt with somebody. She didn't even say if he was white or black, because I'm like, was he? Anyway, y'all, she never specified what race he was, but the fact that he was using a racial slur, talking about get this little, N-word out of here and stuff. Could you imagine a black nurse in there? You got to do your job now. But I'm pretty sure, like, if it's too intense, I'm pretty sure they can refuse. But I guess it just depends. I don't know. I'm not a nurse, y'all. But I'm saying, could you imagine? Everybody got a cup. You know what I mean? Everybody got a cup. I'm saying, everybody got a cup. And sometimes it's already halfway full when your ass wake up in the morning. Okay? You get to work, okay? It's damn near tumbling over. And then you got to deal with this mess? Like, oh, yeah, See, I don't know now. You okay now. Don't, what is that? What's that show, Nurse Ratched? Where she was sitting there, I think she was killing certain patients. Yeah, it's a real thing, y'all. Baby, you got to be nice to folks, honey. I get you sick and all, but what?
Medications, and then they
couldn't do it.
Hitting and kicking, and anyway, anesthesia can do that to you as well as medications, and your even if your sodium gets off, there's all sorts of things that can influence you. So we didn't think much of it. And I think it was like 2 days later, not just a couple days later, we had the sweetest little old lady in that room. And I did take care of her. She was adorable. I swear I can't remember, she was in her late 80s, but she was so sweet and so cute. Poor lady. But she was not confused. And, she kept telling me, she was like, "Can you get my purse for me? Give me my purse. I really need my purse. It's over there." And I was like, what do you need your purse for? And a lot of times we don't give patients their belongings, because there might be extra pills in there and we got to know what they're taking. So I said, "Well, let me help you go through your purse, and what is it that you want out of there?" She says, "I have some candy in there. I really want to get some candy for that little boy. He keeps coming in here and playing, and I have some candy that I'd like to give him."
Oh.
And I said, there's no little boy? And she says, "Yes, there's a little black boy. He keeps playing over there in the drawers, and he's looking for some food, but I have some candy, and I'd like to give it to him." This unit had never been a pediatric unit. There was never children. There wasn't any children on the unit, and nobody was visiting, especially no children. It's pretty creepy.
So I'm going to tell you about how my haunted house saved my life. When I was about 8 years old, my mom and I moved into this house, and it was just her and I. And immediately upon moving into the house, there was a lot of creepy things that were going on. We used to have this old sump pump in the basement because our basement would flood, and that thing was heavy. You could not move it. And the only way that it moved is if you stepped on it and it became unlevel. So sometimes we'd be watching TV and you'd hear the tink, of the cover to the sump pump. And again, this is heavy. It doesn't move unless you physically step on it. And then I decided to buy a mirror for my room. When you walk in my bedroom door, there was a wall. And when you look into the mirror, you could see the doorway. Well,
oh my God.
I'd say
Oh, that's
probably
creepy. It's how
2 or
mine
3
is.
times, sometimes maybe more. I would walk into my room, and right there in the mirror, you can see a man in the doorway. And again, it's only my mom and I. And the guy was always like a gray shadow with kind of like a flannel on. He looks older. So after a while, I just got used to it. You know, I was used to the spirit being there. He was a friendly spirit. You know, nothing ever happened that freaked me out, that I felt unsafe. So when
no. Because okay. Everybody's different. I'm going to just say that. But what are you talking about? Like, you see a ghost all the time. You're just used to it, girl. It would just freak me out knowing that it's lingering around and I can't do nothing about it. You know what I mean? I could be in the shower. I'm talking about, I heard the best music of my life. Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shoot, that ghost is around. You know what I mean? Paranoid than a mug. Like, I can't do nothing. Like, hold on, wait a minute. I can't invite nobody over here because I'm thinking about this damn ghost now. But everybody's different, y'all. But she said she used to it. I've never heard anybody ever say that they're used to a ghost being in their house comfortably. You know what I mean? Oh no.
I decided I was going to have a sleepover with my friends, and back then it was cool to camp in your living room, so I put a tent in my living room. And when my friend and I woke up in the morning, we were like, it is so cold. So we unzip the tent and we get out of our tent, which we were sleeping in the living room, and all the windows in the house were open about this much.
Oh my
probably
God.
1 inch to 2 inches. And my mom was like, did you open the windows? I was like, no, I didn't open the windows. And I asked Brittany, I said, did you open the windows? She was like, no, I didn't open the windows. Come to find out, our furnace broke. And if you know anything about furnaces, if they break, they can release carbon monoxide into the air. So at that time, I didn't know, how the windows got open. My mom didn't know how the windows got open, but we were just grateful because we didn't die from carbon monoxide poisoning.
Wow.
So we decided that we were going to look into the people who lived in the house before us. So come to find out that a mother and a daughter died in my bedroom, and the father came home from working in the slate quarry and found the mother and the daughter dead in my bedroom from carbon monoxide poisoning.
Wow.
So to this day, I'm super grateful for the spirit that lived in my home when I was growing up.
Wow. Okay. So there was a flip side to having that paranormal entity in her house, y'all. So basically, he protected the current family in that house that it had died from the carbon monoxide. They opened the doors, girl. They opened the windows for them so they could survive. Wow. Okay. It still was scary though, but okay. I feel it. Okay.
Because if
this brilliant device keeps your home cool in summer, even during heat waves and power outages. It's smaller than a lunchbox. Cool.
that spirit didn't do what it did, I would not be here today.
My grandma's house was extremely haunted. Story time. So one night when I was a teenager, I snuck out of grandma's house and I was walking on the back side of the property where a big field is. It was a full moon that night, so it was very bright. You could see all the way across the field. Me and my ex-boyfriend.
I'm starting her over, y'all, because first of all, she came in, I'm talking about, she was talking like 85 miles per hour. So much to unpack here and what I see. First of all, you got a whole grocery store in the back of your bed. What is going on with that? I know you got roaches. 2, girl, slow down. Oh, what is that on her neck? Is that some sort of earpiece or something? Girl, let me start her over. She is going fast. What was it? What'd she say? My grandma's house was extremely haunted. Okay. All right. Let me start her over.
I would not be here today.
My grandma's house was extremely haunted. Story time. So one night when I was a teenager, I snuck out of grandma's house and I was walking on the back side of the property where a big field is. It was a full moon that night, so it was very bright. You could see all the way across the field. Me and my ex-boyfriend met up out there at the edge of the field and we start walking through the field together holding hands. And he looked up at the scarecrow, which was over half a field away, and he said, "That thing always creeps me out. Why won't your papa get rid of it?" I said, "That scarecrow's been in our family for a long time, but trust me, it's the least of your worries." Oh lie. We get up to where the scarecrow is and start to walk past past it, and one of its arms dropped off the nail. So I'm trying to calm my little boyfriend down like, dude, it's windy. Of course, it's an old nail from 100 years ago. It's got to fall down at some point. It might as well be right now. So we kiss and make out for a couple of hours, and then we decide it's getting a bit late and we're pushing our luck, so we better go ahead and go home before someone realizes we're gone. So I'm sneaking back up the driveway, and I can see my bedroom window from where I was. That was when I seen a silhouette through the curtain. So I'm nervous. I shut my window, check the kitchen, nothing's in there, and then I go to bed. The next morning, I meet my little boyfriend at the bus stop, and he says, Alicia, I gotta tell you something. I can tell he is scared. He said something happened last night when I was walking home, and I just don't even know how to tell you this because I don't know if it was real or not. He said when I crawled through my bedroom window, I saw a tall black shadow with red eyes standing at my bedroom door, but when I cut the light on, it disappeared. So a couple days later, he decided he didn't want to date me anymore. It wasn't like in the movies how when your friends find out you live in a haunted house so they try to help you get rid of it. No, they always abandoned me, but who could blame them? But back in the early 90s, me and my friend were staying at my grandma's house watching TGIF. You know, Family Matters, Boy Meets World. Now this friend had lived in my grandma's house because her mom dated one of my relatives, so she knew about all the weird, creepy stuff that went on there, and she was terrified of this house. And just like me, she would not walk down the hallway, go to the bathroom, go in the attic, or go outside at nighttime by herself because she knew what would happen. We're watching Step by Step when a commercial of Pee-wee's Big Adventure comes on, and it freezes on large Marge's face when her eyes and tongue sticking out. So we run to my room, and my door doesn't have a doorknob. It's got a string and a screw. The string is barely hanging on to the screw when all of a sudden...
I'm sorry, I gotta rewind her a little bit, y'all. She going hell. I'm trying to really take it in. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to retain information if you're going so damn fast. So bear with me, y'all. But what did she say? Something happened to where the TV paused on a scary part where the lady eyes and tongue was sticking out. Girl, that's creepy. Hold on, let me see. Hold on.
Big Adventure comes on, and it freezes on large Marge's face when her eyes and tongue sticking out. So we run to my room, and my door doesn't have a doorknob. It's got a string and a screw. The string is barely hanging on to the screw when all of a sudden, bam, a gust of wind blows the door wide open, and me and her fall back on the bed. It scared the crap out of us. I still feel guilty about this, but one night I dared my friend to go upstairs and stand in the attic in the pitch black dark with the door shut for 10 seconds. So she went up there and shut the door. So I get my papa's old pocket watch, and I count down 10 seconds, and when the time was up, I said, okay, you can come back down, but when she tried to open the door, it was stuck. She couldn't get out. She was like 7 or 8 years old, so she started screaming, crying, banging on the door. Could not get it open. I ran up there and was snatching on the door. I couldn't push it open, like something was holding that door shut. So I said, I'm gonna go get my papa to come open the door. She said, no, please don't leave. There's something up here with me. And then I could hear something talking to her through the door. She started screaming, banging, and kicking the door. Open the door, please get me out of here. And I couldn't get the door open. And then Grandma come running up, and when Grandma got up there, she opened the door right up. So Grandma got the paddle and whooped my ass because she thought I was trying to scare my friend by holding the door shut. But me and my friend both told her the door got stuck before I even got up the stairs. Neither one of us was holding that door shut. One of the scariest things that ever happened to me while babysitting. Story time. Now,
Girl, damn, okay. 25, 35, 45, 45, sold. I'm like, girl, okay, I believe you, honey. But nah, the funniest part is she said her grandma gave her a whooping because she knew damn well she shouldn't have been playing up in that damn attic. Okay, what is grandma hiding, girl? Why is your house so haunted, girl? What'd you say? He said, what a coincidence. Well, you better call Casper to act like he got some damn sense. We got company coming up. He said, I like her glow in the dark picture, TJ. Which one? Hold on, what picture glow in the dark? Pierre, you be trying to scare me now. Hold on, what glow in the dark? I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
I've been babysitting for a few years at this point, so I had a lot of experience with kids. They loved me. Well, a family friend asked if I would go babysit their 7-year-old son for a couple of days while they went out of town to Myrtle Beach. So I said, sure, that was great money for me. So the parents put their bags in the car. They showed me where everything is. Now, his mom made it clear to me that he has a very active imagination and that because his daddy let him watch horror movies the week prior, he's been having nightmares and making things up, saying that he's been seeing stuff around the house that's not there. So they get their stuff in the car, they give their son a kiss, and they leave. So I'm flipping through all the satellite channels.
Have you heard about Ryoko Pro? This is the cutting-edge portable Wi-Fi hotspot that people wish they found out about.
You know, checking out different shows, eating popcorn, little boy's playing with his toys, drinking his little juicy juice, and we're just having a good time. So I go in the kitchen to put a frozen pizza in the oven, and all of a sudden, this little boy comes flying out the living room, running up to me, and then wraps around my leg, just looking in the living room and then looking at me, back and forth. I said, damn, son, are you okay? What happened? He said, she's in there, she's in there. I said, who's in there? He said, her, but I didn't see nothing. And before I can push him any further, he walks over and sits in front of the TV and starts ignoring me. We're sitting on the couch watching TV, and their couch was in the middle of the room, so you could walk around it. Well, this little boy starts looking behind the couch and then back at the TV. So I start looking back behind us. You know, it's like a natural reaction when you see somebody else doing that, you start doing it. The more he did this, the more I felt like somebody was standing behind us, but I don't see anything. So I get up and walk across the room, and from there I can see the hallway. And for a second, something stood out to me. At the end of the hallway, it looked like someone was peeking around the corner like this. But when I cut the light on, it was gone, so I thought my mom was playing tricks on me. My anxiety's peaking, so I'm like, okay, it's the first time you've been left alone in someone else's house. Calm down, go take a shower and go to bed. But while I'm taking a shower, I get the weirdest feeling like somebody's standing outside of the shower curtain. Now, they had a big-ass bathroom, so I was like, dude, it's a new place, it's a big bathroom, you're not used to this. Just stop freaking out.
I thought I heard something.
But I have to keep sticking my head out the shower curtain to make sure nobody's there because I'm getting that vibe like somebody is there. So I peek out the shower again and bam, this kid is standing in the doorway crying. I said, what's wrong? He said, it's gonna get me. It's in there. I just saw it. Can I stay here with you? I'm scared. I said, yes, stay right there. Just turn the other way. And then I dry off and get dressed in the shower so he can't see me. Now it's about 11 o'clock at this point and he's still wide awake. So we sit there and talk for a little while. We play with Legos, Play-Doh. I'm just trying to wear him out so he'll go to sleep. Well, finally around 2 a.m., he falls asleep. Now, it was already so late, I didn't have time to unpack my clothes, so I just get in the bed and I go to sleep. About 10 minutes later, I hear this youngin' screaming again. Before I can even get out of the bed, I hear him thunk, 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 and he's already running into my room, jumps into bed with me. He's screaming to the top of his lungs, she's there in my room, behind the door. She's gonna get me if I'm alone. Please don't make me go back in there. So we're laying there in the bed together, and he says, I know you think I'm making stuff up. I promise you I'm not. She was there. I saw her. I said, honey, I believe you. It's okay. Just relax and close your eyes and start taking some deep breaths. This child has one hell of a grip on me. Like, he's wrapped around me like a python, so I could tell he was really scared. Like, he really thought something was going to snatch his ass off that bed. So I just held him and hoped that maybe he would calm down. Now, I know a lot of you would just tell these kids to hush and go to bed, but I'm not like that. I went through the same thing as a child. I would see things that were not there, and nobody else believed me. So I wanted him to know that I believed him and I was protecting him. So I reached over to the nightstand and I tapped that old school touch lamp 3 times and put it on the brightest setting so it lit up the room. That way we would feel more safer and we'd get some sleep. Then I start hearing some distant thunder and then it starts pouring rain. I think, oh, well, that sounds relaxing. So because of that storm, my ass knocked out. I was doing some good sleeping until about 30-40 minutes later. That was when I abruptly woke up to the bed shaking. It felt like a small tremor, like a little earthquake. So I'm trying to get my eyes adjusted and wake up and figure out why is the bed shaking. Apparently the storm knocked the power out because it was pitch black dark in that room and the only time I could see anything was when the lightning struck. Well, once my head gets adjusted, I start hearing a noise like chattering of teeth. I'm laying there trying to figure out what the hell is that noise and what is shaking the bed. And that's when I look over and I see the little boy is sitting up on the other side of the bed with his hands holding the cover. And it's him shaking the bed. He's shaking that hard. And that chattering sound I heard was coming from his teeth. He was sitting here holding the covers with his eyes wide open and going, are you okay? Because I thought he was having a seizure. But when I looked at him, his eyes darted over to mine and I realized he was awake. He was so scared. Like, he couldn't move. He was frozen, shaking and chattering. I'm like, well, if he's not having a seizure, what is wrong with him? And that's when it clicks. He's sitting here staring at the door, so I look at the door. Y'all, let me tell you, in that moment, when that lightning flashed, I damn near shit my pants. It scared me so bad. Have you ever been so scared that your hands and arms and legs start tingling? They damn near go numb? When I looked at that bedroom door, there was someone's head peeking around the door like this. And you could only see their eyes. And when the lightning stopped flashing, I couldn't see anything anymore. It was complete darkness. That was when it really hit me. Holy crap, we're not alone. There's someone else in the house and they're standing right there. But what really freaked me out was every time the lightning would strike, I could see more of that person's face. Like it started like this, and then this, and this, and then I could see their actual mouth. This person was smiling ear to ear. I could barely take a breath in. All I could think was, what the hell is that thing? Then of course the lightning stopped flashing, so for a few seconds it was completely dark, and I had that feeling again like someone was watching us and getting closer and closer, and I was starting to panic. And when lightning struck a few seconds later, I could tell they were getting closer because now this motherfucker, person, thing, or whatever, was now at the foot of the bed, peeking over like this, staring at us. At this point, my damn teeth were chattering. All I could hear was between the both of us. So I pulled that little boy up on my lap in my arms as tight as I could because I didn't want whatever it was to try to snatch him out of my arms, and I held him real tight. So now when the lightning flashed, we could see its whole face peeking over the bed, smiling, looking right at us. So that was when fight or flight kicked in for me, and I remember the dad telling me that he'd put a loaded pistol in the nightstand and behind the headboard of this bed, so I started reaching around for it. And for some reason, my gut was telling me, you better keep your eyes on this thing. Every time the lightning strikes, Pinpoint where it is with your eyes and don't take your eyes off or it's gonna jump. Reaching, trying to multitask, keep my eyes on it, hold the little boy, and feel around for this pew-pew, and I finally feel it, and I snatch it out of that holster and I hold it up. When the lightning struck, I pointed at this thing. I said, if you take another step, I'm gonna blow you into the next room. Get out and leave now. In that moment, something happened. I don't know what it was, but I could feel me looking into it and it looking into me, and that lightning flashed, and then all of a sudden the power cut back on. And no lie, as soon as the power came on, it was gone. I snatched him up out of the bed, grabbed that pew-pew, and ran to the kitchen and called 911. Stayed on the phone with them, the police came, and then I called the parents. I put the cop on the phone, they're talking, and then they tell the cop that they're not coming back until Sunday. Even though we're telling them we think there's an intruder in the house and their child's here, they don't.
Nah, that's because they ass knew that house was haunted. Girl, close my blinds. I ain't got time. Close my motherfucking blinds, bitch. Y'all, every time we watch these damn videos, I'll be looking around because you never know. Okay? You never know. You be like, hold on, let me just, hold on now, Thomas. Oh my God, y'all, that's crazy. And then what can you do in the midst of that happening? You would naturally think, girl, you better run and turn that light on. You can't even do that. You can't even do that. The power was out. But the fact that the ghost disappeared after she pulled out that pistol, that's crazy to be like, okay, you can die in the afterlife too, the afterlife. Like, is there an after? You know what I mean? That's crazy. She's funny. I like her.
Don't give a shit. They're not coming home. They think it's our imagination playing tricks on us because the power went out and we're getting freaked out with the storm and everything. So I made it very clear I was not staying in their house another minute, and I was going to take their child back to my family's house, and that's where we would be. And they said, okay, fine, we'll see you on Sunday. So I asked the little boy if that was the first time he saw this thing, and he said no. He'd been seeing it for months, but this was the first time it got that close. Now, I knew he'd have to go back to that house, so the next day, me and my cousin went over and cleansed the entire house, hoping it would help. My grandma's house was extremely haunted. I don't know what happened on that land or in her house that made it so active, but that place was flooded with spirits. This was the kind of place that you did not want to stay overnight. It was bad enough being there during the day. My whole family had a lot of bad experiences in that house, but I always felt like something was really clinging to me for some reason, and I couldn't figure out why. This thing would not leave me alone. So this one day when I was 7 or 8 years old, I was out crawfishing. That was one of my most favorite things to do. So I'm leaning over the ditch bank, over the water, and I got my shovel down in the mud digging this big crawfish out, and when I just happened to glance at the reflection, I saw someone standing behind me, so I turned around, but there was nothing there. But I'm determined, and this is the biggest crawfish I ever seen, so I keep digging hard as I can. So I'm shoveling, throwing mud and water behind me like this, trying my best to get this damn crawfish, until I heard my name. Someone right there said, Alicia. So me thinking it was one of my elders, I stopped digging, turn around and say, what? But nobody was there. Now I knew it wasn't my grandparents because they never walked out that far in the woods to find us because we knew to be home by dark. So I start walking around asking, who called my name? What is it? And nobody answers me. So by now I'm shitting. I done lost that crawfish, lost my train of thought. So I get my bucket and shovel and I start walking back towards the house. And I get the weirdest feeling that somebody's walking behind me. So just like you see in the movies, I take off running. And behind me, I can hear a doot, doot, doot. When I turn around and look, I don't see nobody there until I got to Grandma's house. I turn around and that was when I seen a dark silhouette floating behind me. I didn't know what the hell it was, and I wasn't about to find out. So I ran faster than Forrest Gump and got back to the house. Of course, I'm all jacked up trying to tell Grandma what just happened, but she's dismissing me and telling me that I need to wash my hands, take my boots off, and get ready for supper. So I do. And we had a big...
Why is Grandma so chill about paranormal, the grandchildren be telling about all these crazy things happening in her house? She just be ignoring it. Like, I bet them spirits was just messing with her this entire time. It's like it was like a normalcy for her. You know what I mean? But every time she sit there and tell the part where she tell her grandma act on, I said, oh, girl, get up there and take a bath and get ready for bed. Are you serious, girl? But I get it. I guess Grandma like, girl, we ain't got no time. I'm staying in this house. It's my house. Ain't nobody finna run me out. What's up? You know what I mean? Maybe that's what the vibes Grandma was on. Okay, I feel it though. Shoot. You might as well enjoy yourself before you go, so...
Big family at this time, and we all stayed in the house. And I remember this one night, my uncle had this really hot girl over that he'd been dating. So him and this girl go into his bedroom and they start fooling around. And the next thing I knew, I heard his girlfriend screaming to the top of her lungs, and she come darting out the house naked as a jaybird. My grandma goes outside with a big blanket and wraps her up and tries to get her to come back in the house and calm down, but she refuses. She says, I'm not ever going back into your damn house, ever, and then she leaves naked. A few days later, my mama runs into her at the store and she said, girl, what happened? Did he do something? Did y'all fight? night? Like, why did you run out like that? She said that her and my uncle were doing the deed, and when they got done, she was sitting on the edge of the bed, looking for her drawers, bra and socks and all that, and then he walked out to the bathroom. Well, about 30 seconds later, he comes back into the room, pushes her down on the bed, and starts kissing and groping and fooling around, and she pushes him off and says, I gotta go, I'm in a hurry. And then she claims that his eyes turned black and his face began to change, so she took off running, and when she came out into the hallway, that was when she saw my uncle coming out the bathroom. So she looks back in the bedroom and looks at him in the hallway. She just takes off running naked. She only came back one time years later, and she wouldn't even come all the way in the house. She stood at the front door and wanted to keep the door open so she could leave whenever she wanted. Now, I got a lot of these about my...
Damn, okay. I'm talking about scared. Okay, keep that damn door open. 1 foot out, 1 foot in, bitch, okay? You will not catch me slipping. But that's creepy as hell. Oh my God. Dark eyes and the face started forming into something else. Yeah, honey, that would do something to you for sure. I would love to.
If you want to hear them, let me know in the comments.
Roku Ads Manager puts Roku's reach within your reach. Sign up.
I mean, an ad every 2 minutes, y'all. Every 2 minutes.
Up at ads.roku.com.
Valenti mango sorbetto is made with 100% real fruit.
You be so ready to hit the skip button, then they hit you with a double whammy. You be like, damn, it's almost at the skip point. Then they hit you with another ad, y'all. Ooh, I hate that. And then now, I don't know if y'all be on y'all TVs watching this with the Prime and all that stuff, but boy, I be hating them like minute-long ads, man. You gotta wait a whole minute to press skip. Oh my God, you be so invested in the TV shows, the movies, and then you gotta wait for that damn skip, man. They want you to buy that damn ad free, don't they? I'm like, nah, I can wait a whole minute. You be so mad though.
Without buns.
I might have to invest.
Whew, I almost went back there and got my bed, y'all. I almost forgot to give y'all this story time. So remember, this is not my story time. This is someone else's story time. They private messaged me. And if you would like to private message me and give me your story time, I don't mind telling it. All right, let's get into it. Now, this woman who gave me her story time is from South Carolina. She said that right now, the land that they own, her and her family, they've been owning this land for over 100 years. And right now it's being renovated. So she really, because of the renovation, I guess it sparked something, and she really wanted to know the family history. So she started asking her parents questions, and they kept tiptoeing. They really didn't want to give her any information. So she decided to give up on them, and she went ahead and she went to her great aunt. Now, when she got to the great aunt, and she started asking questions, the great aunt, whenever you ask older people questions, older people as in like 80s, 90s, they always get excited because it's just taking them back to the happiest times of their lives. And so she said that once she asked the great aunt, like, okay, so what's the saddest thing that happened on this land? She said the great aunt just stopped and looked at her and she said, I remember this black man worked for my father. And he no longer wanted to work for my father. He had gotten him a new job. And she said that he told her father, I'm sorry, but I have a different job now. And her father was so upset, he talked about it for days. And she said days went by, and she remembers her father waking her up in the middle of the night and putting her in the truck. And she said she remembers his buddies. They were following behind him. And they pulled up somewhere and she had no idea where. And she started looking around and she said that she was confused. So she said that it all made sense once her father and his buddies went into this house and they brought out this man. And the man was the black man that worked for her father who had just quit. She said that they took that man from out of his home with his wife and his children and they lynched him. And once they lynched him, she said that her father pretty much tried to act like it was no big deal. But she said after they lynched that man, she saw him every single day. Now, she really starts to remember when she was sleeping in her bed. And she said that he really pretty much was torturing her every single night. He didn't allow her to get any sleep. And when she did try to sleep and she did fall asleep, he would shake the bed and he would knock things over. Now, she said one night when she couldn't sleep, she went and got her father, and she said, I can't sleep because that man is in there and he keeps on, waking me up. And so the dad was like, it's all your imagination. You're tripping, pretty much. You're tripping. So to put her at ease, he decided to sleep in her room on the floor. And she says when he slept on the floor, her great aunt said that she woke up to him being yanked out of her room by his leg and being pulled down the hall. She said she ran to the door, she looked down the hall, and she could see that man that he had lynched. Now, when she got to the end of the hall, she checked on her father and, asking him if he's okay, and he couldn't stand up because his ankle was broken. So what's been happening recently with this young woman is because of the renovation, her and her family have been finding things. So she said that she found one of those little statue things, where they painted them black and had a little red thing tied around the head. I don't know if they call it Jemima things or what, but I know that they weren't good things to have. So basically she said she found that, and her mom was just like, oh, they're worth a lot of money. You should go ahead and just take it home, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to sell it. Yeah.
Right.
Homegirl took it home. Okay. And she said when she took it home, she said she had such a bad migraine. She just couldn't get rid of it. So she decided that she was going to just take a nap, took some Tylenol, took a nap. And she said when she woke up, she saw a black man. Now, mind you, she lives alone. And she don't got no black boyfriend, no black husband, none of that. I asked her all those questions. But she said that she saw this man. And she said that now she can't get rid of him. She said her family, they aren't religious. She didn't grow up in church. She doesn't know what to do. And, at a time like this, she just has no clue. But she really wanted some pointers. And baby, I am so sorry. I don't know what to do. You said you got rid of the object and he's still there. So you really need to, I'm speechless. You really need to find someone who can come and bless the home for you to get rid of him. Because if he can hurt your father's ankle like that, do you understand how vengeful this spirit is?
Nah, he also, y'all gotta pay. I told you I didn't want to work for your ass no more. And he was complaining about it as he, hey, I'm not trying to be here no more. So much so that the white people went to his house and lynched him. Oh yeah, all y'all got to pay. All y'all got to pay. You mad because I don't want to work for your ass no more? Like, you know what I mean? Hey, listen. And then what recently happened? That what was it? That plantation, where was that at, y'all? Oh my God, I can't even think. Just burnt down, no? They was using that place for like what'd you call it? Like a tourist attraction for like weddings and stuff like that. Yeah, man. Shit is real. Or hell, what's the Lake Lanier? Come on now. Anyway, it's a real thing for sure. Ain't nobody playing.
Work goes smoothly when you know the right steps.
You gonna unalive me because I don't want to? I said I don't want to work for you no more.
Teams and stay on track.
You got to pay.
So your team.
I'm surprised that's all he did with that damn ankle.
Time celebrating wins. Try it for free at asana.com.
Oh Lord, here we go again.
This woman ended up telling her family members about what happened. She went back to her great aunt and she told her great aunt, like, oh, I found these little, things with the renovation. And the great aunt started to describe what she found. And she said, oh, yeah, we had lots of those in the house, sitting on the shelves. So you done took this thing home, baby. And now he was connected to that. And even though you got rid of it, he said he found him a new home. That's pretty much what he said. Now, she also said that she said something to her other family members about it, but like she said, they're not religious. They don't believe in stuff like this. So, of course, they're not going to know what to do in in a situation like this. And to her surprise, She said that her great aunt told her, oh yeah, I told my dad about it. I told your parents about it. I told them, a long time ago that I saw this man after he was lynched. And everybody pretty much just think the great aunt is kooky. They think she out of her mind, honey. They think that woman is far gone. Okay? Good afternoon. I'm here for another story time, and this is not my story that I'm about to tell. This is someone else's. If you would like to send me your story time because you don't...
Okay, let me skip hers. Let's just say spirit from estate sale. Girl, I don't know about all that. Let me see. Oh, it's long too, girl. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Our girl, y'all. Here go our girl. Now what's her name? Lola? That white lady, she funny. Hold on, let me see. I know I gave my sister a chance, but I want to hear it from like their own personal experiences. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with, reiterating what someone told you. You know what I mean? So you could tell us. I mean, it is what it is, but I just would rather hear personal stories. You know what I mean? I don't know. The connect just seems a bit more satisfying. So we're gonna go back to the girl. I'm glad they got her again, because at first she was getting on my nerves with how fast she was talking, but she's pretty funny and she's good and she got some good stories, most importantly. So I want to hear her. Let me start. Let me hold on.
Immediately.
I grew up in a haunted house, and this thing followed us no matter where we went. So I told y'all in the last video about my grandma's house being haunted. Well, when I was a few years old in the late 80s, my parents finally got their own place. I wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and I have to pee, and weirdly enough, in this house, I wasn't scared like I was at grandma's, so I take off and go to the bathroom, no problem. So I'm sitting on the toilet trying to pee, and I start hearing some kind of scratching noise outside the bathroom door, and that's when a big thunder hit, boom. So I jump up off the toilet, run back to my bedroom, and hide under the covers. It was after I jumped on the bed that I realized I left the bedroom door open, so now I could see straight down that dark hallway. My little 5-year-old brain decides I'm gonna be Billy Badass tonight, and I'm gonna get up and shut that bedroom door by myself, and I'm not gonna wake my sister up. I'm not gonna let this thing push me around like it did at grandma's. I'm gonna stand up to it now. That was a big mistake. So I walk up to the bedroom door, my shoulders bowed up and my chest out. I grab the handle, and as I'm shutting it, I see something standing at the end of the hallway. Now at first I thought it was my sister, so I'm like, Blank, is that you? But then when I turned around, she's laying in bed. I'm like, well, if that's her, then whose eyes are those? That was where I saw my Pee Wee Herman doll standing at the end of the hallway. I had been looking for this doll all day. It was my favorite, most prized possession as a child. I love Pee Wee's Playhouse. I slept with this doll every night, and I was so glad I found it. But not after this. So I start trotting down the hallway thinking, oh, there's my Pee Wee Herman doll. I'm just gonna go grab it and then run back to bed. Y'all, that Pee Wee Herman doll stood up and took off running at me. And as I backed up towards the door, it started growing in size until its head touched the ceiling. That thing's face
Oh my God! Oh my God, that is creepy as hell. Oh my God, y'all. And she said she was 5? We're going to need therapy, okay? Ain't no way that would have changed my damn life, y'all. Oh, I pray to never, ever have a paranormal experience like that, y'all. Oh my God. She said as this doll was running towards her, it was changing in size, y'all. So much so that the head got so big, it touched the ceiling. Look at that doll, y'all. It already looks creepy. Y'all. And I don't know if y'all remember the show Goosebumps and Night of the Living Dummy. Looked like one of them damn dolls. Oh, I just can't, y'all. I just can't. That's crazy. How is she this sane? How is she this, you know what I'm saying? Just bold and, you know what I mean? Seem like she just thriving in life. With these stories, girl, I know you got a therapy session every Thursday, okay? 6 p.m. sharp. Don't be late.
Started stretching out away from its head. The eyes were getting bigger. Its nose was stretching out real pointy. It had big teeth, and its smile was touching each ear. It was so tall, it was slumped over, and its head was still hitting the ceiling, and its shoulders were touching each wall. Straight up nightmare fuel. I pissed my pants, slammed the bedroom door shut, jumped into my bed, and hid under the covers. I started crying because I couldn't understand why would my Pee Wee doll do this to me. I love it so much. That doll sit outside our bedroom door all night long saying, "Ha ha, Pee-wee's Playhouse. And what was so creepy was every time it said a line, that line would start to drag. You know how when the batteries die and it sounds like it's talking in slow motion? That's what it was doing. I couldn't determine whether this was real or a dream, so I started trying to wake myself up. Next morning, I wake up scared, but I realized it was just a nightmare, thank God. But when I get up out of bed, I smell pee, and that's because I was still wearing the pants I peed in the night before. And when I opened our bedroom door, that little Pee Wee Herman pull-string doll was sitting up against the door. So I snatched that Pee Wee doll up, and I go throw it in the trash so my parents can't see, because I knew they had spent some money on this doll. We were dirt poor, but I threw it in the trash anyways because it scared me so bad. 3 days later, I find Pee Wee sitting on my bed. My mom found it in the trash, cleaned it up, and brought it back because she thought I accidentally threw it away. My mama ended up throwing that doll away a few months later because she swore it kept talking to itself while we were at school, and it scared the hell out of her. Mama said she started having nightmares that doll was chasing her down a hallway. Now that would make a damn good horror movie.
Yes, it would.
Good morning,
Girl, okay, hey, she just came from yoga class, y'all. But what you say, Pierre? You said if I saw that at 5, anyone running towards me, he said catching a 2-piece special. Okay, do not play with me, man. Trauma, listen, trauma. Ain't no way. Again, y'all, with the kids and the spirits. She was 5 at that time. She said it turned out to be a nightmare. She peed, but when she opened it, when she went to open the door, she said the Pee Wee Herman doll was sitting up against the door. Girl, Then they knew that something was going on for sure, because the mom said while they was at school and she was by herself at the house, she could hear the doll having conversations with itself. Girl, I'm too cool, man. I'm too cool, y'all. Even I told y'all, all the like toys I be ordering online and stuff, man, I have had some with some very bad energy, y'all. Everything carries energy, and I've had to get rid of some Hello Kitty things because they carry some energy. I've had to get rid of my long collection of Polly Pockets, y'all, because one of the things I bought from Europe, man, I can't remember, but it was a very exclusively made Polly Pocket playset, and it was small. Anybody knows what Polly Pocket is? It's a toy, and they're these really small like figures, and they have like this little playset, and it's small as well, which makes it so cute and so cherishable. But this one I bought from Europe, y'all. Or was it Australia? I don't know, somewhere overseas, y'all. I want to say Europe though for sure. Like every time like I had it, I would set it out and take pictures of it, and I would post it on Pinterest, to get the comments and say like, yeah, I like doing stuff like that, y'all. Don't judge me. I do. I like Pinterest. Okay, but I swear, every time I would sit there and have this set out. That's my daughter in the background, y'all. You already know what it is. But anyway, every time I had this set out, like I promise you always had like the rest of the day would always something bad would happen. You know what I mean? I'll be looking forward to doing something, then just some old crazy stuff will happen, or I'll feel super, super sad. You know what I mean? Out of nowhere, y'all. Out of nowhere, or my energy will be super low every time after I touch this toy. So I was like, you can ask my dude. I'm like, man, I was like, yeah, I got to get rid of this. Now, I ain't shit because I sold it for like almost $400. They bought that shit up. I mean, I say you got to bless it. You know what I'm saying? You just might have to bless it. But then another toy I had, or a trinket box. It was a Sanrio trinket box I had. And it was old too, y'all, from like probably 1976 or something like that. It was really, really old, very rare, very hard to find, and I had bought that stuff, y'all, and I should have known someone was up with it, because usually a lot of like Sanrio products, y'all, is dumbass expensive. Now this rare item I had was hella cheap, y'all, $5. So I bought that thing off eBay, y'all, with no questions asked, bro. No questions asked. I bought that thing, and I promise you, like, I don't know. I just got a bad feeling about it. Like, and you know how, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like when you just sense something is not right, like, you just feel something is off. That's what I got as soon as I opened it out of the box. Like it was just off. And then it had like little red spots on it, which looked like fingernail paint. So I try to like use some like nail polish remover to see if I can get rid of it and stuff. Yeah, I could not get rid of those stains. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? But y'all, I had to I was gonna sell it. Y'all. I tried to sell it, but there wasn't nobody budging, man. I tried to sell it for like $10-15, y'all. I mean, get my money back. But anyway, but I could not, y'all. That thing that stood in my store for like probably like a good year. But while I was in my store, I just had to wrap it up and put it downstairs in the corner where we stored stuff. But I wrapped it in like plastic so nothing would touch it. I didn't want to touch it my floor. I didn't want to touch it my couch or nothing like that, y'all. But the whole time it was here, damn, what the fuck's going on? The whole time it was here, y'all, I'm telling you, just negative energy, man. I said, fuck it. I went ahead and just threw it away. Fuck it. I threw it away. It was only $5, so I was like, forget it. It was nice, but it was like, you carrying a lot of negative energy. So I'm telling y'all that to just be careful with what you buy online that's used. Okay, there's a reason why people get rid of stuff, y'all, and a lot of times it ain't because of no good memories or you know what I mean. It's just random. Sometimes when shit look too good to be true, 9 times out of 10 it probably is. So be careful what you buy. Because I definitely done had like some plushies and stuff. More than just those. I've had a few things I've had to get rid of, y'all, just for my sanity. Anyway, it's not a game. Something about toys and spirits, man. It's a real thing.
It is so nice to meet all of you guys that have joined my page over the course of the last few days. Huge welcome to all my new Casey girlies and Casey guys that are here and follow.
Hey, let's get stuff for that salad we love.
Who are
Done.
you?
What? Taylor Farms. Get your salad together.
I got kind of a few requests for those that are interested in my paranormal adventures, if you will. I got a couple of requests to maybe tell some of my ghost stories and maybe share some of my experiences of things that have happened. And I'm totally open to doing that for those that are willing to listen. I know that's not a thing for everybody, but for me, I've always found it fascinating. Like, the paranormal world just super fascinates me. And having the kind of third sense that I do, you know, it's nice to be able to rewrite history if you can, and to be able to tell the stories of those that couldn't tell them themselves. So I enjoy it. But just a couple, like, past instances about how I knew that I had gifts. I started having gifts when I was about 10 years old, shortly after I lost my grandfather. I would communicate with him. Mom never believed me until the one time I told her a story that he had told me that she had never told me and nobody else in the family did. So that was the point where she's like, oh my gosh, maybe this is a thing. Maybe you do have spiritual gifts. And I truly believe that everybody has intuition. Everybody can use that third sense that they all have. It's whether you choose to really want to expand on it and experiment with it and be open to receiving and whatnot if the paranormal is a thing for you. So but that's kind of how I started with it. I really kind of dove into the paranormal when I was an adult, though. About 5-6 years ago, I found an amazing group of people who I love calling my family now. They're my parafam, Erica, Mike, and Sam. They run a company here out of Kansas City called Epic VIP Events.
Kansas City.
With the mysterious Mike and Sam. My friend Sam is an awesome paranormal investigator. She is also a psychic medium, but no, she does not do work on the side reading people. She just got her Reiki master not too long ago, and I'm super proud of her for that. Papa Mike, we all call him Papa Mike, is super into all things Bigfoot, aliens, so on and so forth. And he loves to be one of us girls when we go on our retreats and stuff. And then Erica is their lead investigator and kind of my sister from another mister, whom I love absolutely dearly. But if you're into doing investigations and stuff, I highly recommend you check out some of their events.
Girl, can you get to the story? I've been looking at that pointed foot for like 2 minutes now, just waiting, itching for you to start this story. I love the look. You look like you got it going on, white girl, but I need for you to really start your story. Like, dang, okay, we seem to get into the extra details. Let me stop, because I be doing that too sometimes when I'm really excited to tell somebody something. Okay, they be like, okay, well, what happened? What happened, girl? Because we didn't talk about this side stuff, and you need to get to the point. What is it? But I like this girl, y'all. I like this girl. She said she like she got a special gift, y'all. I'm waiting for her to get to the story. That's all I'm saying. I've been looking at this pointed foot. I think that's she's very talented, because all I kept thinking about was like, damn, my stuff would lock, okay? And I'd have to stretch that good leg out. But anyway, look, I'm all talking about her. She could have been gotten to the story, girl, if you wouldn't just yapping at them. Girl, just go.
You can find them on Eventbrite. You can find them on Facebook. They don't quite have a TikTok yet, but more to come in the future, I'm hoping. They're an amazing, amazing group, and I owe a lot of what I know to Sam and Erica especially. So kind of a couple fun things recently that happened. So within the last year, I'd say maybe last August, I was at an Independence. They have all these little mystic fairs around here in Kansas City, and I frequent a lot of them. And I met a medium there by the name of Noelle Brown. And
I believe in
the very
ghosts.
first time I met Noelle, she is an incredible human being. And let me tell you, that girl was on point. So I started my reading with her, and there is one thing that I keep with me on my person at all time, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. But she had told me that there was a female spirit that was coming through, and that this female spirit absolutely just ranted and raved about how amazing her headstone looked. That, you know, it's so beautiful. There's, you know, these butterflies, and there's flowers all the time, and little garden flags and solar lights. And she just ranted and raved about how beautiful her headstone was. And immediately when she said that, I'm like, think I know who this is. Think I know who this is. And she started talking about more about, you know, her music sense, and, you know, that's how her and I connected. And that's when it hit on the head for me that, okay, this is Dolores. Dolores was my spouse's grandmother who passed away a few years ago. I was pretty close to her. We shared a lot of things in common. I was kind of the piece that came into the family and maybe brought a couple people back together that really should have been from the beginning. So, but anyway, Dolores was love and light in all ways, shapes, and forms. She's just a beautiful soul. And Noelle had brought up that she's like, this spirit is telling me you have a purple angel with you. Little did she know that the one piece that I keep with me on my person at all times is my amethyst angel. This is what I consider my protection piece. And she made her way of telling me that that was Dolores's way of letting her know that she's with me is by being with my purple angel. And I'm going to tie that into my very first ghost story for you guys. So not long after that, it was September of last year, we met for Sam's birthday out at Belvoir Winery.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, y'all, but like, I think she is so, like, I like how she's thorough, but like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, we keep getting into these little side pivots, you know, details, and I really just want to get kind of to the meat. I think that's awesome what she does. I think you could tell she really likes what she does, and that's really cool. But you know, I came here for the meat, man. I came here to really get to the nitty gritty. I like them scary. I can't sleep at night stories, y'all. All this is cute. It's very sentimental. It's very, you know, soft, and you know, it's a feel good. But like, you know, I just can't. I got to go somewhere else. Let me see. Hold on. Let me find something else, girl. Let me see. Hold on. Scary stories that will keep you up tonight. Will they? Let me see. Hold on, because I'm trying to. I mean, I don't need to. You know what I'm saying? But I need something better than that.
This is not my story. This is my mom's story, but I know it pretty well because she told me it 1,000 times when I was growing up. Because I always wanted her to tell me about it because it just fascinated me. So when she was in about middle school,
she just ran.
Her and her family. It was my uncle, her, and my grandparents. They moved into like a new housing development. So they were the first people to live in this house. Nobody had ever lived in this house before. She said that one night they were sitting in the living room, the whole family in the living room, and she got up to go take a shower. She went down the hall, and her room was at the end of the hall, and then if you were like standing in her room facing out into the hall, her brother's room was on the right, bathroom on the left, and then a little further down from the bathroom was her parents' room. So she said she went in her room, she got her clothes, she got everything ready for her shower, she turned, she flipped off the light, and right in front of her, a man walked from her brother's room into her parents' room. And she said he wasn't really walking, he was about like 4 or 5 inches off the ground, wearing one of her shirts. So she flipped the light back on, she looked in her brother's room, nobody there, looked in her parents' room, nobody there, ran out to the living room, everybody's still in the living room, and she told them what she saw, and they were all like, whatever, like, that's crazy. No, you didn't see that. So she also said that that shirt was never missing, it was still in her drawer. She took a shower, whatever. So later on,
I don't know how much later, but the next experience, she was in the bathroom brushing her teeth in the morning, and in the mirror she could see her room and her brother's room. And she said that she saw the man again walk out of her brother's room but into her room wearing the same shirt, her shirt. So she went and looked, and there's nobody there. Nobody in her room, nobody in her brother's room, shirt's not missing. She just saw this man again, and again, he was floating about 4 or 5 inches off the floor, not walking, but went from his room to her room. And she saw it out of the mirror. And then, so another time, she said she came home from school and her brother was home. He was sitting at the kitchen table doing his homework with a gigantic butcher's knife next to him on the table. She's like, what the hell? What are you doing? Like, what is going on? He said that he heard somebody in the house, and he was home alone because it was after school, everybody's at work, whatever. They had an old rocking chair in the living room that the springs popped when you sat down and got out of, so like you could hear if somebody was in there, like sitting in the chair for sure. He said he heard somebody in the living room sit down in the chair and get back up, but nobody else was there at home with him. So another time, so the only person that did not experience anything in that house with that man was my grandpa. So I asked my grandma about it too, because, you know, love the story, want to get her take on it because I've always heard it from my mom. She said that she came home one day from getting groceries, and she was bringing groceries in, and she walked in the front door and looked in the kitchen, and she said she saw this man propped up against the counter, like on his elbows, you know, propped up against the counter with his back to her. And she said she went around the corner to look in the kitchen, and there was nobody there. She was home alone. So the final time that he was seen in the house, my mom had some friends over, and she was going to her room to get her Ouija board.
And then, see, that's why she wasn't shocked when she kept seeing him, y'all. You keep messing with that stuff, this is what you get. First of all, anytime I see somebody in my house and I know damn well you ain't supposed to be there, that is going to send an alarm to me, right? I'm going to yell, scream, throw some stuff, girl, something, run down the stairs, run out my house if I, you know what I mean? For my safety. Now, for my sanity, y'all, hey, listen. First of all, she said that this ghost was not walking around her house, was not dancing around, was not moonwalking around her house. None of that. She said it was floating around her house. Floating. How did that not sing you to third world crazy? You know what I mean? You saw it once. Like, that did not fuck you up? Like, You saw it again? Y'all, chills throughout my whole body, y'all. And I keep looking at my damn closet, y'all, because sometimes I be hearing it. Anyway, we not finna talk about that. But y'all, that's crazy. Then she wasn't even shocked at all that stuff because she got that damn Ouija board. Leave that shit alone, please. I know, pique your curiosity, but don't be crazy, man, because that stuff make you crazy.
If they could contact this man or whatever, and she said she was walking down the hall, she walked past her parents' room, and out of the corner of her eye, she saw him sitting on the end of their bed, and they had a water bed, so it was moving, you know, like somebody had just sat down on it. And she stopped, and she backed up again to take another look. Bed was still, nobody was there. And they moved shortly after that, so she said that was the last time she saw him, but she will never forget that, and I will never forget that, because it just fascinates me.
That was a good one.
So first off, I tried stitching the other original video, but it's not working. The audio's all jacked up. Secondly, I had to make a separate TikTok account because I have a semi-professional one where I talk about finance, and I don't really need my clients thinking I'm some nut job talking about ghosts and ghouls and stuff, even though that's exactly what I am. I love that stuff. I got like skulls tattooed on me and stuff, and I love it. I don't necessarily believe in this stuff, but I like spooky stuff. So anyways, what I'm talking about is there was one instance in particular that just I really can't explain, both at when it happened and after the fact. So a couple of years ago in Washougal, Washington, that's Pacific Northwest, if you have a map, it's over there. So anyways, there's this guy who bought a piece of property and turned this property into a Jurassic Park themed Airbnb. You may have seen something on the news or TikTok or whatever about it, but he had like a giant T-Rex and Brontosaurus and Velociraptor.
I don't know why. I am so silly, y'all. I was sitting there thinking about something. So it's this place, y'all. And God, listen. There's this place that I'm supposed to work at, okay? I'm gonna just say that, okay? If God be willing and he won't, it's a nice little, if I get it, you know what I mean? To God be the glory. Okay. But the way it's set up in there, y'all, I'm sitting there looking at him and I'm just thinking about the job because I got to go there on Monday. But anyway, it's just this upstairs portion in this clinic. And it just gave me bad vibes when my boss was giving me like the runaround, like what goes here, yada, yada, yada. We do this here, da, 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 da. But it's just one particular corner, y'all. And it's so dark. They told me the lights are already on in there. I was like, that's the brightest to get up in here if we want to wash our scrubs? He said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. And that light just kept flickering. This dark light just kept flickering. Now, mind y'all, man, listen, I hope I don't sound weird, but at this point, I really don't care. In this field of which I work in healthcare, this clinic that I work in, and I like a lot, y'all. It's nice, except for that one particular corner, honey. Now, I'm the only black person, y'all. That seems to be the pattern with this healthcare, y'all. And I don't mind. I like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. For the coin, it is what it is, right? But y'all, all I kept thinking about was like, girl, there's a certain cadence you have to have when you're around certain people, especially at work, right? And like... cadence, you know what I mean? A professionalism, you know what I'm saying? You have to act as such, you know what I mean? When you're around your peers. All I kept thinking about was like, if I happen to be all the way upstairs in that clinic by myself and I happen to see something in that dark corner, okay, because it gives those vibes, y'all. Oh my God, like just hella abandoned. If I happen to see something, I will lose all control of professionalism. Okay, cadence, baby. Hi, how are you today? Yeah. So today we're going to yep. Nah, man, I might lose my damn job. Should I see a ghost face? All that stuff. I don't know, creepy crawl. I'm screaming to the top of my lungs and I'm out that jam. Y'all, but that's what I was thinking about. Let me stop. We completely irrelevant to what we are watching, y'all, but I just I just thought about that. I'm like, girl, I would not hesitate coining on. I'm sorry, y'all gonna have to forgive me, but see, I knew this is how black folks act. See, Dr. Wang, I told you I don't like. Let me shut up, y'all. I'm so ignorant. Let me stop this out. Okay, let me rewind it just a little bit. Hold on, so I can catch on to what he's talking about. Okay, he said he don't believe in ghosts, but this story was so he thought the story was interesting, so he gonna tell us. So let me see.
Into a Jurassic Park themed Airbnb. You may have seen something on the news or TikTok or whatever about it, but he had like a giant T-Rex and Brontosaurus and Velociraptors outside of the hot tub. It was awesome. My buddies and I, we all like dinosaurs because, when you're like 4 years old, you get to pick your personality. It's like dinosaurs or cars or whatever. We're all dinosaur people. So I booked this place like months and months in advance thinking like everybody's going to want to stay here. Apparently it wasn't that popular. But so we went in August of 2022 and, I've been to a lot of like weird places. And again, I don't really necessarily believe in this stuff, but I do like... the unexplainable kind of creepy stuff. But so anyway, as soon as we walked into this house, just stuff felt off. And like the first day that we were there, most of the group went down to the river to go swim. My buddy and I, we stayed behind.
I'm sorry, y'all. That's just hella funny to me. Like, girl, it's already anxiety when you be around them, but it's like... If you know, y'all. I'm just saying that is so funny to me. Okay, let me stop giggling, girl, and really just watch this, girl. It's just done. Just watch, Tosh. Watch. My bad.
I was just chilling, watching TV downstairs. My buddy was upstairs taking a nap. And like when you are in a room and somebody walks in, but they're really quiet, and you can still kind of your sixth sense picks up on like, oh, somebody's there. And that was the feeling I had the whole time. I'm down there by myself, and it was that feeling of, oh, are they here already? No, they're not. I'm down here by myself. Danny's upstairs sleeping. So felt that way. Nothing bad or negative. It just felt like I wasn't by myself down there. But then the really weird part was, because it was basically like a teenage girl's sleepover, except for a bunch of dudes in our 30s. So we brought, Ouija board and dowsing rods, because we just wanted to, about half the group is into the kind of creepy stuff. Half the group hates it and believes in it, and they all kind of ran and wanted nothing to do with it. So anyways, we're playing with the Ouija board and the dowsing rods, and which I've played with this stuff before, and again, I think it's just a toy. It's just whatever, but I can't explain what was happening because we were getting really clear answers, and ultimately, we were talking to something for a long time with both devices, both toys, I should say. And ultimately, out of the answers that we were getting from this ghost or whatever, we ultimately found out that it was a little boy, passed away in the 40s, and that he was 8 years old, and he was hit by a car. I mean, the Ouija board literally spelled out C-A-R when we asked how did he pass away. So it was like real clear answers. Everybody was kind of freaked out. I was excited because I'm like, ooh, But again, half the group, they're upstairs with blankets over their head because they don't want to mess with this stuff. But so anyways, that's kind of the bulk of it. Was a lot of answers. This is going on for a long time. I mean, at one point I even asked, like, just jokingly, who do you think is the stinkiest person in this room? Dowsing rods went whoosh, straight to my buddy Danny, and it was the funniest thing in the entire world. I feel bad because he's bullied by a little ghost boy, but it was the funniest thing in the entire world. So anyways, when I get home at the end of the weekend, because I get like hyper fixated on stuff when I'm like, I should be paying bills and doing other stuff, I get really hyper fixated, like this story. So I went to Clark County or Washougal, whatever, they're public records basically, to look at the death certificates from 1940 through 1949, my camera's small, like that, to see if there were any boys that passed away at the age of 8 in Washougal in the 40s. I'm not even joking. I went through, I don't know how long it took. It took a long time. I was going through each and every one of them, opening up the PDFs, looking at the age, when did they die, blah, blah, blah. I found one. In that entire decade, there was one boy who was 8 years old who passed away from a car crash, or he was hit by a car, I should say, in 1945. And I have the death certificate. I'm going to flip my screen and show you.
Wow.
Really weird. And, one more thing, too, I should note. The guy that bought that property, he sold
it
like a year later. Why would you spend all that money to make this cool dinosaur place and you sell it? Makes no sense. So anyways, I'm going to flip my screen. Okay, so here's the death certificate. Raymond Keith Martin, born August 26, 1936. He was 8 years, 6 months, and 11 days old when he passed away. Died on March 7th, 1945.
Dang.
Basal skull fracture, automobile accident, boy on bicycle struck by car. And the accident happened on Old Washougal Highway, which I'll show you in one moment. It's no longer called Old Washougal Highway, but this is what it originally was. They changed it some time back, but essentially this is what it looks like now. But so we were staying up here. This is where the house was, which is somewhere around here. So the accident happened basically down the road from where we were staying on that highway. So it's not like he was on some completely opposite side of the state or the city. This was like very local. So anyways, real weird, real creepy. I'm liking all these TikToks. All right, bye.
Wow, okay. He had receipts.
Okay, so I have one hell of a story for you. I have several, but this one is one of my personal favorites, and my husband agrees. This took place in Phoenix, Arizona, around 2003, I want to say. When my husband originally came to join me in Phoenix, because we were there for college, we lived in a studio apartment first, and we made really good friends with our next door neighbor. Now, he was sharing that studio with someone else, and our leases were both up at the same time. And his roommate was not going to renew the lease. And he basically didn't have a place to go. And we're like, you know what? We like you. We hang out all the time. We're always drinking. We're always chatting. Let's move in together. So when our...
What is going on in the background? I'm trying to hear. I thought that was mine. Let me rewind just a little bit. I couldn't hear what she said. It sounded like she got a lot going on in the background. But hold on.
Hang out all the time. We're always drinking. We're always chatting. Let's move in together. So when our leases were up, we went ahead and we moved in. Now, before anything, since we were doing him the solid, we were the only ones on the lease. He was not. Live and learn. But anyway, we moved into this apartment. It was an upstairs 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. And as soon as we walked in, instant heebie-jeebies. Since I've experienced these things my entire life, I'm used to it. And I just psyched myself out. And I'm like, you know what? It's a new place. It's going to feel foreign. It's going to feel weird. Well, it kind of never did there. We would always hear... Now, I have to preface this because this is not the first, second, or third time I record this video. A lot of stuff happened in this place. I'm even going to...
I can't hear what she's saying. Like, every time I try to, like, every time my mind tries to, like, listen to what she's saying, like the background, y'all. And if I'm being honest, it sounds like he might be on the spectrum, too. If you about that life, you know what I'm saying? But I might have to skip her because I can't really hear what she's saying. I can't really hear what she's saying. And damn, how did this one do? Oh, we got a black dude. Hold on, let me see. Should we hear all these ones, y'all? I want it. You know what? You should try to at least try to hear what she's saying, y'all. It's so hard. I'm gonna try, y'all. I'm gonna try. So far, what she said, something about this old house. Or apartment, something's going on, but that's all I got. I couldn't really catch on what she was saying.
Not include some of the other stuff that I did because I could not keep it under 10 minutes. But a lot of stuff happened. If you want more, I'll tell you more that happened. But basically, the main, like, 2 things that were really frightening there were, of course, like hearing your names, seeing things like I thought I would see my husband, he would see me. I would hear him when he wasn't there, like things like that. So we lost our remote control for our TV in the living room. And I was really peeved because I couldn't flip channels. So we tore our apartment down. We were just like searching, looking, and we had a small couch in our living room. We took the cushions off, we turned it upside down, and we didn't have much stuff. Like, you know, we were kids. We didn't own furniture, really. And our roommate was like, you know what? Maybe I, like, accidentally took it to my room. And his room was like a fucking pigsty. Like, even he admitted that it was really bad. Like, you would go in there, and not only would the door, like, drag a little because of the stuff that was on the floor, you couldn't see the floor. So we're like, you know what? That's probably where it is. It's in his room. Nope. That place was immaculate. And still no remote control. So we searched for like a whole day. By the second day, like, I was super pissed. And I remember at the end of that night, I really wanted to veg out and just watch TV and just channel surf. Well, I couldn't. So I remember getting up and like hitting the button so that I could find a channel that I was okay like watching. So I left it on the Food Network. So I sat down on the couch and I got my blanket, you know, and I lie down like this and I'm watching Emerald Lagasse. And then after a few minutes, I roll over. I pass out. I wake up the next day, walk into the living room, and lo and behold, the remote control is there on the couch. And I remember I was so excited because I was like, oh my God, yay. I grabbed it. I went and I told my husband, I'm like, where did you find it? And he just kind of looks at me like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, where did you find it? And he's like, you had it last night. And my roommate, this is the one thing that he did like validate because he never really experienced anything because he was never in our apartment, really. He was really busy. But anyway, according to them, I randomly walk into the room. I don't look at them. I don't acknowledge them. I don't talk to them when they even acknowledge me. They're like, oh, hey, babe, you know, like, what's up? And I didn't say shit. But I had that remote control in my hand and I just threw it. I threw it on the bed and then I crawled into bed, grabbed my blanket, put it over and went to sleep. And my husband was like, you were sleepwalking. And he was like, because he's like, you were not there. And he says, but you came in with that remote. Where the fuck I got that remote from? Who knows? But with that, like, I started getting like major heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
The next thing that started happening, that like really scared me was one time I was alone. And I was in our room. I walked out into there was like a hallway. Our room was all the way at the end of the apartment. And then our roommate's bathroom was in there, his room, and then in the end was the living room and the kitchen and like a dining room area. Well, I walk in and all 4 burners to my stove is on.
Oh, wow.
And at that moment, I got pissed because I was like, this is not safe. I remember even looking around being like, you're not paying fucking rent. Like, this is not cool. I turned everything off. I told my husband it happened.
Wait, she told the ghost you're not paying for. Okay, I know that's right. Running the damn gas bill up.
Probably one more time, and it was only 2 burners that turned on. But I remember I was super paranoid after that because I was like, you know what? We have a puppy. You know, us ourselves. Like, what happens if that shit happens at night? Like, after that, I told my husband we are not renewing. Like, no. We're not redoing. And thank God we only did 6 months. So basically what ended up happening, like I said, there's a lot of shit that went down, but I'm not going to divulge it in here. We end up having a falling out with our roommate. Things start getting a little tense between us, and he ends up moving out early. And since he wasn't on the lease, it didn't matter. Like, he could do that. But thankfully, he left like the last month that we had to live there. So it was just my husband and I. And I remember at that point, like, we would do everything just to hang out in our room, and we'd close the door. Like, we didn't want to be in the living room or anything, like, and we always wanted to be together. It was so hard, like, when he was at school and I wasn't, or he was at work and I was at home by myself with our dog. And finally, moving day comes in. Our friend who worked at the office for the apartment complex came in, lent us her truck. She backed her truck up below our balcony, and we were just throwing shit off the balcony. Like, it was to the point where we didn't even want to take the time to put stuff in boxes and go out the door and down the stairs.
Dang.
Like, no ma'am, we weren't doing that, and we had to get out. And
oh my gosh, that's crazy. That is crazy. You were that scared and through with that apartment that you decided to toss your things from the balcony. Oh, you want to talk about over it? Yeah, that's over it.
Also, just like the heaviness that was in there, it was fucking terrifying. So we move everything. Like, we're just throwing shit and we're done. Well, we had about 3 days, like, grace period, where you could clean up and then you had to turn in the keys. Well, we poked ass. We did not want to go back there. So finally, on the last day, I'm like, we have to go back. I'm like, you know, we need that deposit back. We have to go clean it. So, of course, on the very last day that we could do it, my husband works late. By the time we get there, it's between like 5 and 7 p.m. It's already starting to get dark. So we get in, I'm like, we have a plan. I clean the kitchen, you clean the bathroom. So I'm cleaning the stove, and I get up, I turn around, and our sink was right behind the stove, and above the sink was a window. And through that window, you could see down the stairs. Well, when I go to the sink, I naturally like look up, and I catch the back of a woman's head like she was walking into our front door. So I kind of stand there waiting, nothing. So I go around and I look because I could have sworn it was our friend. Nobody's there. And at that moment that it's it's starting to like click what happened, I hear my husband mumbling. And I'm like, what? And then I hear him mumble again. And I'm like, what? And finally he kind of comes down the hallway and he looks at me and he's like, were you not over there? And I was like, no, I was here. And what he saw was our bathroom situation was really weird. Like, in our bedroom was our sink for the bathroom and a big mirror. And then to the left of that was a little room that had the bathtub and the toilet. So he was cleaning the sink, and then he looks up and he caught again the back of a woman's head, and he thought it was me. So he started talking, and then that's when he heard me all the way on the other side of the apartment. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, fuck this shit, grab what you can, we're leaving.
Yeah, forget
and we
it.
even left some stuff. Like, we did not want to go back. We didn't go back into that room. And the terror that we felt when we turned around to like leave, I will never forget that feeling, ever. We locked the keys and we fucking turned them in, and we never looked back. Like, till this day, it's probably one of the scariest things that's ever happened to us.
Wow. Thank God I didn't skip that, y'all, in spite of what was going on in the background. That was a good story. I like that one.
I grew up in a town called Fort Erie. It's a small town in Ontario, Canada. It borders Buffalo, New York. And Fort Erie has a lot of historical significance. So Fort Erie is a
small town where nothing much happens now. But historically, it's a perfect recipe for some paranormal stuff to go down. So the Battle of 1812 was fought in Fort Erie. The Underground Railroad was something that is directly underneath of the town. So in the 1840s, 1850s, abolitionists developed a system of underground railroads to help slaves achieve freedom and help to escape. Some escaped, some didn't make it out of the tunnels. So that tied in with the War of 1812. There's a lot of death. There's a lot of stuff going on in Fort Erie. So I moved 11 times while living in Fort Erie in the span of 13 years. And in almost every single house I lived in, no matter where in the town it was, crazy shit happened. Like, in every single house. And I moved out of Fort Erie 8 years ago to Toronto, and it's like once I moved, things stopped happening. And it's not like when I was when I was a kid. I'm like, this is like stuff was happening when I was 17 years old, like right before I moved. So like it's the town. The town's cursed. So the story I'm gonna start with is one that I was like 11. So it's not like I was so young that I couldn't remember it. And we lived in this house that was built like on the grave sites of like soldiers and indigenous people. And there's a house like right down the street from me. And in like the 2010s area, the house was doing like renovations, and it was like big news that they were literally pulling bodies out of the ground, like underneath all of these like big, beautiful houses and like stuff that's on like the Niagara Boulevard. Like in today, they're still pulling like corpses out of the ground that like houses have just been built on top of because there's just so much death. So we move into this house, and like off the bat, bad vibes, like super bad vibes, really creepy, just like unsettling feelings. So I'm living there with my mom and her partner and my twin sister. So it's also nice to have a twin sister to validate your feelings. So throughout living in this house, I would always beg my sister to let me sleep in her bedroom because I was always afraid. I didn't know, like, not anything particularly, but I was afraid. So there was one night that I was sleeping in her room with her, but we would, we're giggling, we're doing sleepover stuff. And outside of her bedroom window, which just faces our neighbor's house, who was like a little old lady who lived by herself, we started hearing like whispers. It started as whispers. And it sounded like there was multiple voices. Like it sounded like there was like a room full of people, just like, and we both like dead quiet, like dead silent, like looking at each other and just like staring at each other. And the whispers started to grow. And soon it sounded like there was a room full of people having a party, just like chatting. Like, it's like words, you can't really hear words. It just becomes like a big kind of like hum of like sounds and voices. It built, and then all of a sudden, nothing. It stopped. And we were like, what the fuck was that? So obviously the next day, we tell, like, our mom, we're like, we heard, and she was like, oh, that's probably just Betty having people over. Mom, why is Betty, our 85-year-old neighbor, having people over at night, a huge party? So she talks to Betty. Did you have, no people were over. No people were over. So that's, like, weird, but, we're like, maybe Betty did have a party. Couple weeks later, my sister's bedroom, the same bedroom. We'd had puppies, so we let the dog out, and my mom was like, "Go close your sister's bedroom door so he doesn't get in there and tear stuff up." So I walk over, I close her bedroom door. She's not in her room. She's sitting on the couch, and I pull the bedroom door closed, and I just kind of zoned out. I don't know. I zoned out, and I was just kind of like disassociating, my hand on her doorknob, still, and the doorknob starts like moving, like somebody, like my hand is on and it starts shaking and moving like there's somebody inside trying to open the door. And I jump back and I release it, and I'm like, somebody's trying to.
I mean, that thing floating in the background scared the mess out of me, y'all. I don't know what that was. It looked like a piece of a feather or something like that, but it scared me, y'all.
Oh, you're imagining it. I was not imagining it. That door was moving. Like that door handle, someone was trying to get out of that room, the same room that we heard the voices in. So this is a different place. My family owns these apartments, really old apartments built in like 1910 or something, 1902, 19 something. And this one's kind of an interesting twist because it isn't just like we lived in this haunted house.
Okay, I'm skipping her, so let me go to this one.
So I've been waiting about 20 years to get this off my chest.
I definitely don't plan on doing this entire video, y'all. I'm basically trying to see if I can find some highlights of some of the most played portions of the video. And man, I saw a few of them. I'm like, hold on. Yeah, I want to get to, okay. Damn, hold on. The rest of them are, okay. Just go. What the hell?
In the Army.
This little boy. And start my sister, my twin boy that your daughter's. Anyway,
Years to get.
that's my long-winded TikTok.
So I've been waiting about 20 years to get this off my chest. I was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas, in the Army back in the early 2000s, 2002 to 05. We deployed in 03. My unit got back in 2004-ish. And our company was assigned to a bunch of details. Like other vets will tell you what's up with that. But there was like funeral detail, gate guard, like all this other stuff. And since I only had a couple months left on my contract, my platoon sergeant sent me over to the gym, Long Gym. It was a fairly modern building, not old. Some of the buildings on Fort Riley are pretty antiquated. It's an old post, right? And so yeah, no big deal. So I go over there, and one of the things that I noticed right away is when I was up on the second floor by myself, I always felt like I was being watched. It was this really weird, eerie feeling. The gym is 2 floors. It has a big glass front, from what I remember. You go up the stairs immediately, you're on the second floor. It's got a bunch of gym equipment, like not free weights, but like the machines. And to your left was a balcony that looked out over a basketball court on the first floor. So just for layout. And you go right in, there's a hallway, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, yeah, I was got this creepy feeling about being up there by myself. So months go by, like it's now late fall. And if you know anything about Kansas or the Midwest at all, is that in places like that, the wind never stops blowing. And in this particular night, it was cold and it was rainy. And earlier in the day, we were told that the brigade was having a mandatory fun day. That sounds as lame as it's as lame as it sounds. Where you're voluntold to hang out with them and have big fun. So the whole brigade was supposed to like play soccer and volleyball outside. Well, because the weather was so shitty that they would be bringing it in the gym. So we had to clean. And if there's one thing in the military, we'll teach you is how to clean something. Anyway, so that night, it's just blustery and cold and gross, and nobody's coming into the gym because nobody's leaving the barracks. Nobody's coming here. Everybody's warm. Everybody is warm. And so we cleaned our butts off. Like we scrubbed the place down from stem to stern, or so I thought. But anyway, me and this guy named Doherty, he's like, I'm 6'3". This guy's like 6'4", and corn-fed, big boy, right? So we go up to the second floor to walk through, and he gets out ahead of me. And so just being kind of silly, but also kind of testing a theory, I shut the lights off on him as he got like halfway through the second floor. I've never seen a dude that big move that fast and that gracefully, by the way, back to me toward the light. And he was like, dude, don't turn this light off. I said, why not, James? And he was like, because I always feel like I'm being watched up here.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So the night goes on, and it's about 20 minutes to close. It's almost 20 minutes to 9 or 8, something like that. And it's nasty, dark. Nobody's coming. So I go ahead and send my crew home. We all have to be there at 7 a.m. for this mandatory fun day. So I sent them off and locked the door behind them. Well, I'm walking through the gym one last time, making sure everything's the way it's supposed to be. And I'll kiss your bare ass if we didn't miss the biggest room in the house, the basketball court. There's dust all over this floor. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. We had managed to pull the bleachers out, but we missed the biggest floor. Anyway, no big deal. I have nowhere to go. It's a Thursday night. I remember it's a Thursday night. Ain't shit going on. So I grab my broom and I'm sweeping. And I'm, as Joss Whedon referred to in Buffy, is having happy non-thoughts. You know what I mean. You're not thinking of anything. Nothing positive, nothing negative. You are not having thoughts. And I'm just sweeping along. Well, at one point, it felt like somebody was standing directly behind me. Like, directly. Like, right at my back. And I thought that James had somehow gotten back in. And that fucker was messing with me. And with broom in my hand, I spun around. And nobody was there. Okay, not fun, but whatever. And I'm off doing my thing again. And, all of a sudden, I had these really, really bad thoughts. Like, really intrusive, really bad thoughts. Like, if something were to happen to you, nobody would care. If you were to disappear, nobody ever come looking for you. Nobody loves you, blah, blah, blah. Like, these awful string of really, really bad thoughts. And being a preacher's kid, now I'm nervous. It's not cool. Like, what I'm feeling. Like, that's not me, right? And so when I get nervous, I begin to sing Amazing Grace to myself, because I'm by myself, and it's now a little spooky. And the amount of malevolence and the amount of anger and just rage, unlike anything I'd ever experienced before in my life, was suddenly directed at me.
Ooh,
I was
that's
singing
creepy.
the wrong song. It would be like Biden showing up to a Trump rally. Bad. It was bad. It was real bad. And I closed my eyes because it hit me like a wave, and I closed my eyes for just a second. And in my third eye, in my mind's eye, the bleachers were full of people. And the balcony was full of people. And that glass wall up on that second floor looking over was full of people. And they were not happy with me.
Oh my God.
And I began to quote the 23rd Psalm. Though I walked in the valley of the shadow of death, I should fear no evil, for thou art with me. And my mind switched over to when Jesus asked the madman Gadara, who are you? And the demons answered back, Legion, for we are many. And I said, okay, you got the gym for the night. And I forcibly walked to the door back into the hallway. Because I knew if I would have started running, something was going to get me at that door. It wanted me afraid. I think it wanted me to hurt myself.
Wow.
And I was alone and vulnerable. I put my stuff away. I grabbed my car keys and I drove back to the barracks. I got in my barracks room. I got under the covers and I called my dad. Nothing like that has ever happened to me since then. Nothing like that ever happened before. But I really, honest to God, believe something. I honest to God believe I met a demon or demons. I think those words are the same. I think they're the same thing. That's the feeling they gave me. But yeah, that's my ghost story.
That is wild. And then they always kept saying every time they was in the gym, man, they always felt like somebody in an empty gym, that they felt like something was watching them. Oh, Lord. And he said so much so that, what did he say, with a blink of an eye, after singing the Amazing Grace, he saw everybody in the stadium, evil demons in the stadium, just staring at him as he was singing Amazing Grace, pissed because he was singing that song, y'all. Then when he asked, like, who are you? Then it said its name. Wow, that's insane. But the most disturbing part was when he said he felt like he was going to off himself because of how intense that energy was. That is creepy. Man, stay prayed up, stay prayed up. That was creepy. That was disturbing. That's what I'm talking about. That was probably one of the creepy stories. Okay, let me skip to here he is right here, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna hear this last story. Because it looks like he's long, but then again, we got this girl too. And I'm trying to decide if I want to hear hers last or his, or should we just do both, girl? But that's going to be like the whole damn video. I don't know. Just let it play. Just let it play. I'm not watching this whole thing, y'all. I'm gonna just watch the last one. Well, not the last one, girl. Yes, we're gonna watch the last one, which is the black dude that's coming up right now. So hopefully his story is cool. And then I'm finna end this live. Let me see.
And I don't want to have another one. So thanks.
You said for 20 years he held that story in. Oh my god.
Okay, so I used to be a photographer. I started my junior year of high school when I joined yearbook. So I started doing photography around 16 and I stopped around 27. Started my own little photography business and I did it for 10 years and made some good money and memories. So one of my friends, they asked me to do a photo shoot for them. No big deal. But they wanted me to do a photo shoot with their new boyfriend. Now, I think I might have told the story time before, but I didn't tell it into too much detail. The friend I did the photo shoot for recently had a loss of her partner. I'm not gonna lie, I think their relationship was over 10 years. They were high school sweethearts, had over 6 kids together. And after he passed away, it wasn't even 3 months afterwards till she got somebody new. But I'm not judging because you do you. So we're in this new romance, and long story short, she's like, hey, can we do a couple photo shoot for that year's Valentine's Day? I'm like, yeah, perfect. She pays me head up, and I'm like, good, let's get it started. So at her photo shoot, she brings her youngest daughter. And you know, I'm just like, oh, she doesn't have a babysitter, no big deal, right? Right. We're doing a photo shoot. They arrive late, but you know, black people time. My photo shoots are always a mood. 2 hours later, the music is playing, the food's going, we're snapping. Literally. You're probably not wondering this, but the reason why I'm not a photographer anymore is because I began to realize I take pictures for people so good, and this is petty, but anytime somebody has to take a picture for me, even with my good equipment, they have me looking like Trick Daddy. So during the last moments of the photo shoot, she asks us for her daughter to get into a couple shots. So I'm thinking it's just gonna be her and her daughter. No, it's her and her daughter and the new man. So I start to get cold chills and I'm uncomfortable because I'm like, ooh, this is a little soon. But who am I to judge? Because bitch, you're paid to take a picture. Click, click. A girl, as soon as the little girl gets into the picture and I'm trying to get them in the right position.
No, we're right. Why are they going so fast? That's why it's called TikTok. Hold on, girl. This is too much. You're paid to take a picture. Click, click. That is a little weird though. It's like, okay, it's not your daddy, and then, you know, ain't no telling how that photo look, but yeah. Okay, here we go.
Uncomfortable because I'm like, ooh, this is a little soon. But who am I to judge? Because bitch, you're paid to take a picture. Click, click. The girl, as soon as the little girl gets into the picture and I'm trying to get them in the right positions and stuff like that, I get a cold chill over my back. My intuition is on high. Of course, I'm not listening to it, even though I should. Rule number 1, always listen to your intuition, even if it doesn't make you the popular one in this scenario. Your intuition is your body's spiritual alarm system. Listen wisely. So I begin taking the pictures. I get goosebumps down my back, cold chills. Then it's February. We got the heat on and the photography lights. There's no need for coldness. And even my friend, she was like, did you feel a cold chill? And I said, no, because what you give energy to, you give power to. I was on some if you ignore it, it'll go away, even though I know better. I just simply did not want to feed what was ever in. So they leave. And of course, whenever I did a photo shoot in my mom's living room, because she has a big living room. Long story short, as I'm cleaning up and taking down like my backdrops and all that stuff, and I had food out because I like to give my clients like food and stuff just to make them comfortable. So I begin to do the dishes. I got to go to the bathroom and pee. I come out of the bathroom for peeing and I see on my living room couch there's a man sitting there. So I continue doing the dishes. Then I was like, bitch, you're the only one in your mama house. Who the fuck is that? Now, if y'all know from other story times, my grandma... Gosh,
hold on. It just got hella cold over here. Hold on. Let me just... Yeah.
I come out of the bathroom for peeing, and I see on my living room couch there's a man sitting there. So I continue doing the dishes. Then I was like, bitch, you're the only one in your mama house. Who the fuck is that? Now, if y'all know from other story times, my grandma and my mom, they're heavy psychics. I don't see spirits like that, maybe once every 3 to 2 years. So I turn back around and I see that it's my friend's deceased partner. Now, we knew each other in life, so I was like, can I help you? And as soon as those words left my mouth, I blinked and then he was gone. So I was like, oh well. So then I'm like, ooh, I'm not staying in here tonight. So I go to my friend's house. I don't tell my mom, who's in her back bedroom, what I seen, because I know how she is. And she's like, you can't bring everything in the house. You gotta be careful because you never know what people carry with them and shit like that. And I get that. I've been told that my whole life. But so I don't tell my mom. I'm over at my friend's house. We up late. We talking, just gossiping, talking mad shit. I get a call from my mom. It's 4 a.m. I'm like, what is she doing calling me? Because I left her house about 9. p.m. She's like, bitch. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. And I'm nervous because it's just my mom. And she's like, who the fuck is this at the end of my bed? And I'm like, what you mean? She said, bitch, don't play dumb with me. She's like, who the fuck you let in my house? And I'm like, Mom, what do you mean? She says, bitch, don't play dumb with me, ho. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. She said, ho, I'm gonna see you in the morning and it's gonna be up. I'm like, oh. And it's not like he haunted or was malevolent, or because you can sense the difference if you're really tuned in. So then I'm like, okay, Ma, I'll handle it. I threw some salt on the floor and then swept it up. It didn't do shit, and she knew I was buying time. So the next night, I'm asleep, right? A bitch wake up in the middle of the night because I'm thirsty. I'm a thirsty hoe at night. Guess who's sitting on a chair in the dining room? Just sad and slumped over. I said, bitch, let me get this over with. So not to be anticlimactic, I called my friend up. I said, bitch, you moving too fast. Show some respect, have some decency, have some time. And everything went back fine. And she did. All right, y'all. So I'm going to answer some repeated questions I've seen.
Wait, I'm so lost. Wait, so he told the spirit off? And he is so zesty, y'all. Oh my gosh. Why your mom talking to you like that, first of all? And he said his parents or his mom and his grandma are some type of sidekicks and stuff. So I guess he had seen the spirit earlier in the house that he was in his mom's house. And he said, okay, well, what do you want? And then the spirit disappeared. So later on that night, the mom is at the house and she called him and saying like, okay, well, what's going on? Who did you bring in my house? Because apparently that same spirit was at the foot of the bed. Okay. Cussing him out is crazy though about that. But okay, remember though, he was talking about a family he was taking pictures of though. So I don't know. But then again, he knew the ghost. So I don't know why. I don't know. How does the photography plug into this ghost? Who knows? But yeah, let me just continue.
The comments of this video, and don't worry, I'm not gonna be one of those people who are like, I didn't expect this video to blow up, because I damn sure hoped it would. Isn't that like the point of making videos? Like, you want them to do well or be seen at least by the right people? The first question was, what was it like being raised by a mom that was psychic and a grandma? Because my grandma and my mom raised me along with my two other aunties, but it was mainly my mom and my grandma who were the heavy hitters with the gift. And to be honest, not to be anticlimactic, it's just like being raised by normal people, because it was my normal. So you can ask any of my cousins as if they're going to be on the video. It's fairly basic, to be honest. The only thing it taught me was not to be as scared of what comes after. Because whether for the good or bad, we're all just spirits having a human experience right now. Mm-hmm. The other question, these curtains, I was surprised so many people liked them, because I like stuff of nature and the birds and the trees and all that bullshit. So I'm not a gatekeeper. I got these from Amazon, y'all. I was going to put these in the Amazon storefront so I can get a commission, but I don't need the money. Here's the link, y'all. Here you go. Screenshot it if you want to. If you do, good. If you don't, that's fine too. I got 52 by 96 inches. Bro. I always get curtains that grandmother who you could not. Okay. When it comes to my mom, some people ask, were you ever able to hide stuff growing up? First of all, that's just mother's intuition when they know their children on bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I would bullshit a lot, believe me. Now, see, that was more of my grandmother, who you could come over to her house and she could tell you aspects of what you did in the day. Like, I remember my uncle would come over, her son. Like, he'd do something throughout the day. He'd come over, just recap it. And then my grandma would be like, who is that woman with the auburn hair that you helped that had the scar above the left brow? And she would just freak people out. Because one thing I would tell you, ooh, God rest the dead. I remember hearing stories of like how my grandfather would accuse my grandma of being a witch because she knew exactly who he was cheating on her with. And this was back in the 40s and the 50s. And I would just be so captivated as I would hear like my mom and the aunts and even my grandma tell the story. Grandpa thought he was sick because he would go to the next town over, but my grandma would describe the whole thing. But also my mom and grandma's gifts weren't like the Long Island medium. Like, the only thing that honestly sticks out from my childhood is the fact that I was never allowed to have that imaginary friendship. When you have people around you that are gifted, they're kind of like a magnet for spirit. And when I was a kid, I thought I had this imaginary friend and it turned out to be a spirit. But she didn't reveal that to me as a child because you don't do that. She waited till I was like, I would say 19, and she was like, you remember when you was a kid and you had that? Another thing I want to clear up is no, she did not cheat, and all her children are by the same one man that died. Like I even said in the story, these aren't like really scandalous events that happened. Side note also, they're still together. The dude didn't end up being some type of creep as they were trying to make him out in the comments. So it was just simply, be careful how quickly you bring new people around your kids during the grieving process. Yeah. Now, do I personally think she should have moved on that quick? I personally wouldn't, but it's not my body and not my choice. Sometimes the only way people will truly learn is by making mistakes. You can date whoever you want to, but with kids...
Okay, it's a lot. It's a lot.
And one of my homegirls, we skipped class. No, in high school. Okay. Back in my 11th grade year in high school, I was always a good kid, but one day I decided to not be good, and me and one of my homegirls, we skipped class. Now, we both were so good as kids that the hall monitor saw us and she didn't even say anything. She acted like she didn't see us skipping and kept going. Now, while we were down there, she was telling me a story about her sister getting an exorcism done in church.
What?
And as she was telling me the story, I got scared. And if you know anything about spirits, especially lemons with a D, they can sense fear. And so I got scared, and literally like a day or two after, I was asleep at home upstairs in my room, and for some reason my mom was like sleeping on the couch at that time, but I don't know why she wasn't sleeping in her bed now that I think about it. However, yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night at that time, around that time, 2 to like 4 in the morning, and I'm just like, you could feel the air was so thick. I had never felt the air that thick. That's how I knew something was wrong. Like, and so, confirmation. So, I went downstairs and I woke my mom up. And I'm like, I think something's in the house. Do you feel what I feel? And she woke up and was like, yeah, I feel it too. Something wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, so we're doing this. Okay. All right. And so at the time, rosaries were like a big thing, especially in the Hispanic community, but I don't know why I had one. I actually had 2 of them. And so I used one, I put it on, and I gave my mom the other one. She never put it on. And one night, I slept with it on.
Ooh,
and
Lord.
Once again, I woke up in the middle of the night. The rosary was laying next to me. The rosary was literally like not crumbled up, but like whatever this spirit was, I really don't even like telling the story because
Oh
it's
my
so scary and crazy. Whatever that spirit was took the rosary and like made it into like a cinnamon roll, if that makes sense, but like a little spiral. Sorry, 20% notification came up on me, it's dead. But it put it in the spiral, and I was so creeped out because I'm just like, okay, what the fuck do we do about this, and how do we get it out of our house? Like, nobody was coming to help us. It was even this like priest dude that worked at my high school. I told him about it, and I felt like even he was scared. He just wouldn't say it. He acted like, well, yeah. And actually, come to find out, this is my cousin's uncle. Shout out to Mr. C. But I think he was even scared. He didn't even come contact me, nothing. He told me that he was, but like he didn't. I told him like something is wrong. But yeah. That is a ghost story. I have plenty. I talk to them.
You talk to them? How you just throw that in there at the end? Okay, y'all, that's it. But that was interesting though. One, how did this she say demon man? I don't even like saying that. But how was it able to take it off of her neck while she was laying down? You know what I mean? While she was laying down, oh my Lord, that would scare anybody, y'all. And then not only that, the necklace was laid out in a certain pattern to let them know, yes, it was purposely taken off of you. And I'm letting you know right now, I have skills to you know what I mean, to do anything if I could do this. It was laid out in a cinnamon roll like circle. Yeah, that is creepy for sure. She said she had some more. I should have wrote down her name so we can get into her a bit more, but definitely not tonight though. But whoever is in here that decided to join me, you met me at the end. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you. My throat, y'all, was like cheering on the girls in class. And I went to a flow lounge last night, y'all, and I have been screaming since then. So now my throat is kind of like scratchy from it, but it feels like my voice is trying to go out. Or you could just be tired, girl. You need some damn water. I don't know. But anyways, if y'all join me and you have and you're still here, at the end, please, if you don't mind, please hit the like button if you enjoyed yourself. You know what I mean? If you're new to the channel, my name is TJ, aka TJ Mac, and this is my channel, We Like Saturdays. If you have been enjoying these scary TikToks stories, let me know your thoughts in the comments in the comment section down below. If you have any suggestions of any TikToks you would like for me to binge watch, or any just TikToks period, or videos for that matter, please let me know. I do not mind taking a gander and seeing what y'all be into. You know what I mean? Explore. Hopefully they're really, really scary. Hopefully they're really scary. I know I've said at times like, okay, wait, hold on, how dark is this story? And y'all can get pretty damn dark, but I think I'm about to open my mind to a little bit more of it, because, you know, I do want to know. So, but yeah, y'all, I'm finna jump up off this thing, man. I'm about to get ready to go to bed and so I can get up bright and early to get my child ready for school and do my thug thizzle and and do this damn Tommy the Clown. That's right. I love y'all to the moon and back. Let me get up off of here. And thank you so much for joining me. Don't be a stranger. Peace.